The standoff was terrifying, with a massive bear and a muscular Minotaur staring each other down. But Park Sejun didn't flinch. He told them that fighting would only destroy their crops and hurt everyone. Instead of violence, he decided to solve the problem with his ultimate weapon, a hot meal. The rabbits went into overdrive, chopping green onions and preparing corn with frantic energy. Sejun roasted everything to perfection, creating a feast that smelled so good it even made the tower manager thank him. The monsters sat down to eat, with the Minotaur happily munching on a green onion stalk. Sejun even sent a portion of the corn up to the sky for Eileen, who surprisingly accepted the offering. He introduced the bear as Kwang's mother, a guardian who would protect the fields and the cave. Then, the Minotaur flexed his muscles, proudly announcing his name as Ox 3, a warrior ready to work. Sejun laid down the law immediately. If they fought on his farm, they wouldn't get any food. The threat of starvation hit hard, causing the mighty beasts to panic at the thought of an empty stomach. Negotiation complete, the bear and the Minotaur shook hands, sealing a new alliance. With the farm finally at peace, Sejun could finally focus on expanding his operation with 2 new heavy hitters. With the alliance sealed, Sejun turned to his newest recruit and asked what kind of work he'd be doing. The Minotaur's response was pure gold. He immediately asked if lunch was included with the job. Sejun assigned him to plow the field, and the beast hit the ground with explosive force, sending dirt flying everywhere. But here's the twist. The Minotaur discovered underground food while plowing and became absolutely obsessed with working hard. Sejun watched in satisfaction as the massive field was plowed effortlessly, his farm now equipped with a true heavy hitter. With the field ready, Sejun decided to tackle spring onions, realizing he needed to massively increase their yield. His solution was brilliant. Harvest moderately grown onions and cut them, leaving only the roots behind. The magic happened when those cut roots would split and grow new shoots, which could then be replanted to multiply the crop. The system rewarded this innovation instantly. 200 pyongs of spring onion field created, along with 200 experience points. Sejun stood before his vast new field, knowing that dividing plants every time they grew would create exponential expansion. But there was one problem left to solve. The rabbit's tiny watering cans couldn't possibly handle such a massive field. Sejun crossed his arms, realizing that even with the expanded field, they'd hit a water capacity limit. Then suddenly, one of the rabbits began glowing with light, and Sejun's eyes widened in complete surprise. The rabbit's watering can transformed into something magnificent, a golden magical version that promised to solve everything. And just like that, the husband rabbit's watering can bursts into golden light, evolving into something straight out of a fantasy RPG. Sejun can't believe it. This isn't just an upgrade. It's a second awakening, like when the black rabbit first appeared. The rabbit confirms it with a proud squeak. The new can holds twice the water, doubling their farming efficiency overnight. Sejun throws his arms up in victory. Time to expand the field, because now nothing's holding them back. With the farm upgraded, Sejun opens the cave, and out tumbles the first generation of baby rabbits, ready to explore the world. Cool. Once a terrifying apex predator lowers his massive head, sniffing the tiny creatures with surprising gentleness. Before anyone can react, the babies swarm Kwang, climbing all over him as he lets out a booming, happy laugh. He rolls onto his back, letting them cling to his belly, the crimson giant bear, now the farm's official teddy bear. And there he lies, eyes closed in bliss, surrounded by fluffy little bodies, proof that even monsters can find peace on this farm. Meanwhile, Theo puffs out his chest, declaring himself the official uncle, because apparently Hyung wasn't enough for this ego. He waved dramatically, offering to take the babies on an adventure, but they don't even glance his way, still glued to Kwang. Theo's face twists into pure betrayal. Did you forget, Uncle Nya? As tears flood his eyes in the most dramatic fashion. He collapses to the ground, wailing about all he went through to raise them, because nothing hurts more than being replaced by a bear. Sejun scoops him up, offering a quiet, "don't be too sad," and a seat on his lap, because even merchants need a little churu sometimes. But the mood shifts when Theo admits he can't make the trip down to the lower floors. Turns out, a pack of wolves is actively hunting anyone wearing Sejun's straw hat. Sir Gugun realizes this isn't just a fashion accessory, it's a specific artifact for tower farmers. If this hat marks him as a farmer, it means there are others like him somewhere in the tower. But if other farmers are out there, Sejun's little secret might be about to get a lot bigger. But Sejun just grinned, his eyes lighting up with a sudden brilliant idea. He told Theo to hire Ox 3 as a free mercenary, bypassing the travel ban entirely. This special contract grants hired guards the right to use the merchant passageways. To seal the deal, Sejun offered Ox 3 triple his daily wage, 3 whole tower coins. Theo was absolutely floored, jumping up to call the chairman a genius. Meanwhile, poor Ox 3 was hiding behind a rock, sweating bullets in the wasteland. His hiding spot was blown when Ox 4 marched up, demanding to know where he'd been for 3 days. She narrowed her eyes at his suspiciously polished face, sensing something was definitely off. Ox 4 wasn't buying the hiding excuse, spotting the suspicious shine on Ox 3's face. She threatened to snitch to the commander until Ox 3 finally cracked and led her to the source. They burst through the trees, only to find their destination was Park Sejun's farm, right where the cat Theo was. Ox 4 immediately recognized Sejun as the food provider and begged to join the workforce. When Sejun offered tower coins, Ox 4 flat out rejected them, declaring she couldn't eat currency. Sejun pivoted instantly, promising 3 meals a day plus snacks, which made the oxen jump for joy. Sejun realized that these two were absolutely crazy about food, but he promised to pack snacks for their journey. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Ox 4 hugged Ox 3, thanking him for introducing her to such a nice place. Ox 3 teared up, happy to have his partner back, while Sejun watched the wholesome reunion unfold. To pay his new mercenaries, Sejun got to work harvesting a massive pile of green onions. He stared at the mountain of produce, wondering if this massive haul would be enough to satisfy their hunger. With a mountain of green onions harvested, Sejun asks Theo if he should just take it all. But Theo just smirks and swallows the entire pile in one go, proving his inventory has expanded. He's officially promoted to a mid-sized wandering merchant, boosting his stats and carrying capacity. Sejun hands him a special present to deliver to his family, trusting the cat with his most important mission. With Ox 3 and Ox 4 assigned as bodyguards, Theo sets off, leaving Sejun to watch his growing farm. Left alone, Sejun stands tall with his rabbit family and the black rabbit perched on his shoulder. He jokes that the rabbits won't eat Theo since they've already devoured all the spring onions, but the black rabbit looks genuinely terrified. Meanwhile, deep in the passageway village, the atmosphere is heavy with despair as sunlight barely reaches the cavern floor. A starving cub brings a meager piece of bread to Chieftain Elka, who praises the effort despite the grim situation. When Elka asks about their funds, the answer is devastating. They are completely out of money and starving. Her subordinate Elko snaps, tired of waiting and staring at passers-by, suggesting they abandon the village and return to the dangerous 85th floor. Elka's voice cuts through the tension like a blade, demanding answers from her trembling subordinate. Without the commission payment from greed, their entire tribe faces starvation on the 85th floor. The weight of leadership crushes down as Elka watches her people suffer, tears streaming down faces. Despite their own hunger, her loyal follower offers Elka the last precious food from their meager funds. They insist she must eat to maintain her strength, even as their tribe crumbles around them. But Elka's eyes suddenly lock onto something in the distance, her expression shifting from despair to hope. There it is, the cat-wandering merchant, a beacon of possibility in their darkest hour. Elka's mind races with a desperate plan. She must extract information about the Straw Hat at any cost. The passage village erupts in whispers as onlookers spot the legendary Black Minotaurs walking beside their mysterious employer. Theo puffs out his chest, declaring himself the mighty merchant who hired these fearsome beasts as free mercenaries. But when Theo calls for Ox 3 and Ox 4 to prove his point, his mercenaries have vanished into thin air. He finds Ox 3 and Ox 4 completely captivated by some cabbages, their mercenary duties forgotten in an instant. Theo tracks down his mercenaries, who are more interested in the produce than protecting their employer. These powerful warriors confess they've never left the 99th floor, revealing their complete inexperience with the outside world. Theo can't help but laugh at his country bumpkin bodyguards, who think all tower passages work the same way. Theo climbs atop a crate to explain how the tower's passages once stretched chaotically like branches from the 1st to the 99th floor. This cosmic tree structure created countless pathways, but most were deadly traps for the unwary traveler. Monsters lurked in every shadow, and no one could distinguish safe routes from death traps without guidance. The first great wandering merchant changed everything by organizing these passages and creating the association that Theo now represents. It's a wolf merchant who pins the tiny cat down, growling that he's finally found the cat who owes him a debt. Before the wolf merchant could even blink, a massive fist slammed into him, sending him flying. The attacker was a Minotaur, a monster far more dangerous than any wolf. Theo, trembling, pointed at the beast and revealed that this was the one who had been relentlessly chasing him. Just as the situation seemed dire, a second Minotaur, this one female, charged onto the scene with terrifying speed. She effortlessly crushed the wolf chieftain, sending the rest of the pack scattering in terror. With a chilling smile, she referred to the fleeing wolves as cute puppies, highlighting the immense power gap. The Minotaurs introduced themselves as monsters from the 99th floor, the highest level of the Black Tower. The female Minotaur, Ox 3, ordered the other to protect Theo and spare the wolves. The wolves scramble to check on their fallen brothers, but the chieftain knows retreat means death. He declares they won't back down, because losing this cat merchant means losing their only chance. But before they can charge, the ground shakes as the 99th floor's Minotaurs step in to protect their charge. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Park Sejun is getting a much-needed haircut from the sickle rabbit. The little bunny is nervous, but Sejun just wants his long hair trimmed so it stops stinging his eyes. But the sickle rabbit's extraordinary beauty skills result in one very large, very obvious bald patch. And Sejun, he's absolutely thrilled with the results, completely unaware he's now sporting a fresh new look. Just as the wolves were about to strike, the ground shook with an earth-shattering presence. The three wolves, Elko, Elki, and their companion, charged forward with deadly intent. But they found themselves face to face with a Minotaur from the 99th floor, and she was not having it. The wolves lunged with everything they had, claws and fangs bared. But their teeth bounced off her skin like they were trying to bite through diamond. One wolf panicked, realizing this Minotaur's hide was tougher than any monster they'd faced. The skin was so dense that their sharpest fangs couldn't even leave a scratch. The Minotaur just smirked, grabbing one wolf by the horn and asking if they were surprised. Then she delivered a swift punch that sent the wolf yelping into the sunset. That punch didn't just hurt, it shattered Elk's horn and sent him screaming into the dirt. The Minotaur's fist connected with such force that Elk flew through the air like a rag doll. Elki watched in absolute horror as his companion was demolished in a single devastating strike. Now the Minotaur had Elki pinned, and she knew she had to hold on tight or they'd both be dead. The Minotaur raised her fist high, ready to crush Elki's skull and end this fight once and for all. Elki struggled desperately, but there was no escape from that monstrous grip. As the fist came down, Elki's world went black. This was it, the end. But just when death seemed certain, something incredible happened that would change everything. A mysterious silver wolf appeared, declaring that they were the pure-blooded Silver Wolves tribe. Their ancestors became guardian spirits after death, protecting the tribe and granting them incredible power. This wolf explained that their honor belonged to their ancestors too, and they must live proudly. They taught the young pup that they must never ruin their ancestors' honor, and that answers would come one day. But that young wolf pup Elka wasn't so lucky. Her tribe was ravaged by famine and war. When the Western tribes attacked, her grandfather made the ultimate sacrifice, telling her to run while he held them off. She survived, but at a terrible cost. She was captured and forced to work for Grid himself, abandoning her ancestors' honor to stay alive. Fast forward to today, and that same wolf chieftain, Elka's grandfather, has collapsed from exhaustion, muttering about doing it all for the children. Theo's companion, a Minotaur, even suggested breaking his legs to stop him from following, but the merchant cat had better sense. Instead, they decided to bring him back to Sejun, leaving the final decision to our farmer. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Sejun suddenly jolts awake as if something or someone had been calling to him. He turns around groggy and confused, only to find Kekwang and Pekik staring at him like he's just grown a second head. Park Sejun wakes up to a nightmare. There's a bald spot on his head. Poor guy is freaking out while Kong and Pekik stare in horror. He tries to laugh it off, claiming everyone's a monster anyway, then jams on his straw hat to hide the evidence. Classic denial mode activated. But the Crimson Giant Bear isn't having it. She snatches the hat right off his head, exposing his freshly trimmed hair to the world. And there's Mother Rabbit, proudly holding her gardening shears like she just won a beauty competition. She definitely did this on purpose. Meanwhile, Eileen's back in her quarters, completely bored and out of cherry tomatoes. She's grown so big, her food portions aren't cutting it anymore. She decides she needs snacks and summons Park Sejun with a magical orb, demanding he come out immediately. No more playing games. Her crystal ball reveals something's changed with Sejun's appearance, and she's not letting it slide. Time to get some answers. The system pings Sejun with a message. The tower manager wants to know what happened to him. He's been caught red-handed. Sejun plays it cool, claiming his hair was just too long and Mother Rabbit gave him a trim. Sure, buddy, that's totally believable. Then he takes off the hat and asks if it's awkward, completely unaware that he's just pulled off the most confident hair reveal ever. Eileen's jaw drops. She's seen a lot of weird stuff in this tower, but this is a whole new level of unexpected. Sejun's now strutting through his tomato field like he just won a fashion show, but Eileen's still processing how a haircut became this dramatic. What other surprises is he hiding? Sejun strikes a pose, completely oblivious to the chaos he just caused with that hair reveal. Eileen's jaw drops so hard it nearly hits the floor. She's seen everything in this tower, but this is next level. The mighty black dragon turns into a stuttering mess, face burning red as she can't even form words. After recovering from the shock, Eileen's message pings through. She wants more of that crayfish she loved before. Sejun breaks the bad news. The crayfish population is crashing, down to just 1 or 3 at a time. But he's got a solution ready. Fresh tomatoes and corn instead, and Eileen seems pretty happy with that trade. Then comes the real bombshell. Eileen actually compliments his new look, saying it suits him perfectly. Sejun can't believe it. The tower manager, who barely speaks, is suddenly dropping compliments like they're going out of style. And there's Eileen, clutching that corn basket with hearts in her eyes, clearly smitten by her favorite farmer. Eileen's heart is absolutely racing, and she's convinced it must be some dragon heart anomaly. She's literally having a two-headed dragon panic attack over her feelings for Park Sejun. But instead of dealing with her emotions, she's frantically searching through ancient books about the tower farmer class. She finally finds the information she's been looking for. This clash is way more significant than anyone realized. Meanwhile, Theo makes his grand entrance as the wandering cat merchant, and the hunters are absolutely buzzing. He's got 3,600 D-grade cherry tomatoes to auction off in batches of 400. The crowd loses it when they hear that number. This is an enormous harvest for the tower market. The bidding goes absolutely wild, with prices skyrocketing until Theo finally closes the deal. But just as Theo is about to leave with his earnings, a representative from Gagel Corporation steps in. He drops 1,600 tower coins to buy the remaining 2,000 tomatoes, basically telling everyone else to get lost. The other hunters are furious. Gagel's completely monopolizing the market, leaving nothing for ordinary people. One guy's even freaking out because he needed tomatoes for a meeting with his future in-laws, and now they're all gone. One hunter freezes when he reads the tomato's cultivator name, Park Sejun, the tower farmer. The system window confirms it. This legendary producer is real, and his tomatoes break down fat and boost MP. Kim Dongshik's eyes widen in disbelief. He knows exactly what this means. His guild leader immediately orders a full recruitment mission, sending hunters from the US to South Korea. The hunter laughs maniacally, already counting his promotion and compliments from the vice chairman. But Kim Dongshik sees the bigger picture. Sejun's family is sitting duck. Those innocent people have no idea their loved one is now the most wanted producer in the tower. Rich hunters will blackmail or kidnap them to monopolize the cherry tomatoes. Sejun has been trapped inside by quests, completely unaware of the chaos outside. Dongshik grabs Theo in a panic, his mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Dongshik demands answers. Why was Sejun's name censored before, but visible now? Theo explains his promotion to mid-tier merchant removed the protection for beginner producers. The cat's innocent upgrade just doomed Sejun's family to every greedy hunter in the tower. Now that Sejun's identity is public, people will stop at nothing to control his farm. But Theo has a plan. He's bringing Sejun's own corn and carrots as a gift to his family, though the price is 200 magic cherry tomatoes. That cat's innocent upgrade just made Sejun's crops the most dangerous items in the tower. This hunter realizes that the carrot of agility and corn of stamina are worth a fortune if the world finds out. But instead of a partnership, he decides to sell out Sejun to his mysterious master immediately. Meanwhile, Ox 3 and Ox 4 are getting mocked by a wolf for working under a simple merchant. But Theo bursts in, ignoring the drama and screaming that Sejun's family is in immediate danger. The Minotaurs drop everything to carry the wolf away, knowing they'll face punishment for leaving their post. Before they leave, Theo tries to buy a strange purple item, offering a rare tower coin as payment. The raccoon is stunned by the currency, but Theo is desperate enough to beg for a discount to save Sejun. Han Taejun explodes with rage, shattering his own footbath in a burst of power. He's burning alive from the inside, screaming that he's trapped in a fridge just to survive. But the anger fades fast, leaving him coughing and defeated on the couch. The curse of the flame is spreading, and he can't even leave his own home. But he still commands the room, forming a security unit to protect Park Sejun's family. He orders Dongshik to lead the team personally, ensuring no other country steals this talent. Dongshik brings a basket of those same magic cherry tomatoes Sejun grew. He tells his master it might be weak, but it could help with the curse. Han Taejun holds one up, wondering if this tiny fruit could be his salvation. Han Taejun pops the cherry tomato into his mouth, and instantly his face softens with relief. That tiny fruit from Sejun's farm just became his lifeline against the curse. Meanwhile, back at Sejun's house, his family stares in absolute shock at 3 massive bowls overflowing with corn, carrots, and tomatoes. They realize their son has been farming in the tower, producing items that are now famous for their weight loss properties. A representative from the Korean Awakened Association arrives with an unbelievable offer: a new house in Hanam-dong, the neighborhood where celebrities live. The representative, Mr. Sedo, reveals he lives in Hanam-dong and shows off a photo of his daughter Sarah. Sejun nearly explodes with excitement. Sarah is the leader and main vocalist of LJSN, a genius who writes, produces, and looks amazing doing it. He immediately drops to his knees, begging Mr. Sedo to take him in as a son, while his family watches in bewildered silence. But amidst all this excitement, Sejun's mother's mind drifts back to her son, wondering if anyone is taking care of him while he farms alone in that dangerous tower. Back in the tower, Eileen the Black Dragon is trying her hand at cooking, tossing wonder-working mushrooms into a pot while reading a spell book. But when she seasons it, something extraordinary happens! Her cooking experiment is about to create something completely unexpected! 2 weeks after collecting the seeds, the green onions have finally reached their full height. Sejun cuts one down, expecting a normal crop, but the system window reveals a surprise! These aren't just onions anymore, they're detoxifying green onions that can cleanse poisons and boost liver function. He realizes this is the perfect hangover cure, meaning he can finally start selling high-value goods to the merchants. But his celebration is cut short when he checks the pond and finds the piranhas have vanished, leaving him with no meat source. Just as he resigns himself to a vegetarian diet, a notification from Eileen interrupts his thoughts. It's a new quest demanding he give her a magic cherry tomato as a gift, with a threat that he won't be able to refuse if he says no. Park Sejun finally hands over the tomato, and the system immediately confirms the quest is complete. But the reward isn't cash or gear. It's a steaming cauldron of green sludge filled with eyeballs and bugs. The item card reveals this is Eileen's health soup, a dish that boosts stats, but also poisons you with paralyzing and acidic toxins. Eileen giggles smugly from the shadows, insisting he finish every last drop of her masterpiece. Then she curls up for a nap, leaving him with a chilling ultimatum: eat the soup or face her wrath when she wakes up. Sejun screams her name into the void, but the tower manager is completely unresponsive. Desperate, he tries to recruit the rabbits to eat the soup for him, but they instantly recognize the danger. The entire family bolts in terror, leaving their owner alone with the deadly meal. Just as he's about to be left with no choice, Pick the queen bee arrives with her swarm, looking ready to intervene. Park Sejun stares at Eileen's soup, realizing it boosts stats by 3 but carries Great Sea paralyzing and acidic poisons. Just as despair sets in, a black rabbit reminds him of their Grade C detoxifying green onions, his perfect countermeasure. After devouring the onions to neutralize the poison for an hour, Sejun grabs his spoon. Preparations finally complete. He takes 1 spoonful and immediately regrets it. The taste is absolutely soul-crushing. Pick and the rabbits watch in horror as Sejun spews green sludge, crying that it's the worst thing he's ever tasted. System notifications confirm he's been poisoned and detoxified repeatedly, but Sejun only cares that this is genuinely the worst food ever. Despite the agony, Sejun forces himself to chug the entire pot, screaming that he can see the end. But as he's drinking, something massive and pink starts surfacing from the soup right into his face. A live pig bursts out of the pot, causing Sejun to scream and hurl the whole thing into the water. But wait, Sejun actually finished the soup. The system confirms he consumed all of Eileen's health broth. Suddenly, notifications start popping off like crazy. Piranhas, crayfish, he's been killing them just by throwing the soup in. And then the big one hits. Giant electric eel defeated. 5,000 experience points just like that. Pick delivers bad news. The pond's been poisoned. That explains why all those creatures died instantly. Sejun's mind races. If an electric eel was hiding down there, there's probably a whole ecosystem in that hole. He's been worried about fewer fish lately, but now he realizes the real problem is way bigger than he thought. The black rabbit gets excited, thinking it can swim through and explore. Sejun immediately shuts that down. He gets the enthusiasm, but this little one is too precious to risk in such a dangerous poison place. They'll wait until the water dilutes first. For now, Sejun reassures everyone they have enough saved food. But while Sejun's busy protecting his farm, somewhere else in the tower, a different kind of power is gathering at the Minotaur King's base. While Sejun tends his farm, the Minotaur King sits on his throne, growing restless. 2 of his oxen, Ox 3 and Ox 4, haven't returned from their search. He orders Ox 1 to gather 100 warriors at the waypoint. But the king isn't waiting. He's heading out himself to find them. Back at the farm, Sejun surveys a mountain of freshly cut green onions. Kwang, the bear cub, rolls around them like they're a giant bed. Suddenly, a skill activates. Wishing for a good harvest boosts growth by 50%. The onions grow instantly, and Sejun realizes he can harvest 3 times over. Just as he's celebrating, the tower manager pings him about her soup. She's sad, asking if it tasted bad. Sejun panics and screams that it was delicious. He insists he finished every drop, even jokes it was worth dying for. But then Aileen offers to make more, and Sejun's face goes pale. Sejun's heart aches, seeing Aileen exhaust herself just to please him. He gently insists she stop cooking, promising to handle meals himself. Aileen's eyes widen in surprise. Is this human actually worried about her well-being? Her heart swells with unexpected warmth. The tower manager finally agrees, and Sejun breathes a sigh of relief. For the first time, their relationship feels less like master and servant. But peace never lasts in the Black Tower. The ground trembles violently, and Sejun's blood runs cold as he senses something monstrous approaching. A towering Minotaur warrior crashes through his crops, massive axe in hand. This isn't the clumsy cub from before. This is a seasoned killer. The beast's single eye glows with murderous intent as it unleashes a bone-chilling roar. Sejun's farm just became a battlefield, and he's standing right in the crosshairs. Just when things were calming down, the ground shook as a massive shadow loomed over Sejun's precious crops. It wasn't just any monster, it was the Minotaur King, the terrifying boss of the 99th floor, charging straight at them. Sejun's blood ran cold as he realized this was the exact monster he was supposed to defeat to escape the tower. This was the boss protecting the waypoint, the very obstacle standing between him and freedom. Back in her office, Aileen frantically checked the rules, knowing the 99th floor boss shouldn't even be able to leave his territory. She tried to use her manager rights to summon him and get answers, but the system simply refused to cooperate. For the first time, her status window went dark, leaving her powerless as she realized something was seriously wrong. The system delivered a chilling message. Conversation was impossible, and she had absolutely no idea what was happening. With no help from the tower manager, Sejun looked at his terrified animals and asked the question he dreaded most. Kwang's mom roared defiantly, stepping in front of Sejun to protect her little farm family from the incoming threat. But Sejun knew the truth. This wasn't just another monster. It was the 99th floor boss, and there was no way she could stop him. The Minotaur's massive foot slammed down, crushing the earth as he closed in, leaving Sejun with no choice but to fight. Park Sejun's blood ran cold as he recognized the monster, the 99th floor boss himself. The Minotaur soared through the air, axe raised high, ready to crush everything in his path. Sejun clung to Kwang's mother, screaming that they were all going to die. Even the little baby rabbits panicked, crying out Sejun's name as death approached. The axe slammed into the earth, but instead of killing anyone, it just made a huge crater. Then, the floor boss dropped to his knees and started devouring Sejun's precious green onions. The Crimson Bear and Sejun stood there completely baffled. Was this giant just a bull? The Minotaur grabbed an enormous bundle of onions, his eyes shining with pure delight. And just like that, the 99th floor boss turned tail and ran with Sejun's entire harvest. He thundered away across the field, leaving nothing but destruction in his wake. Sejun collapsed in relief, his legs shaking from the sheer terror of that encounter. But as the dust settled, they all stared at the devastated field, every single onion gone. Looking at the trampled field, Sejun couldn't help but sigh at the massive mess. But strangely, he felt relieved, actually glad that the destruction happened. Because he realized the Minotaur King himself had come to his farm, which meant this warrior-honoring tribe would absolutely pay for the damage. Sejun grinned wickedly, wondering how many times he can make the king pay for dining and dashing on his onions. Before rebuilding, Sejun gathered everyone for a quick meal of tomatoes, corn, and green onions. The baby rabbits whined about no meat, but Sejun pointed out that even Kwang-yong was eating quietly. He praised the bear cub for not being picky, reminding the rabbits they'd become adults soon when the blue moon arrived. But as Sejun patted the bear, he noticed something troubling. Kwang-yong hadn't grown much lately. With plenty of food available, Sejun worried the cub might be sick somewhere. Just as Sejun called out to Theo, the merchant returned with a bang, riding on 2 massive oxen. But what caught Sejun's attention were the unconscious silver wolves slung over the oxen's shoulders. Theo explained these were the wolves who had targeted his life, and he'd brought them for Sejun to decide their fate. Now, Sejun needed to interrogate them about why they were hunting his sales cat partner. But first, he had to figure out how to wake them up. The Minotaur captain casually explains he knocked out the wolves for being too noisy on the ride. But panic sets in when Sejun mentions the Minotaur King visited the farm, leaving the captain terrified. Thankfully, Sejun diffuses the tension by inviting them to eat, sending the muscular bulls running for corn. Just as things calm down, Theo recalls a terrifying vision of a Minotaur King with glowing red eyes. Suddenly, the red bear cub slams its paw down, unleashing a shockwave that terrifies everyone. The leader of the Silver Wolves wakes up, snarling in recognition of the bear's terrifying power. In a blur of motion, the wolf leader swipes Sejun's beloved straw hat right off his head. The giant wolf stands tall, thanking Sejun for the hat before leading his pack away into the distance. Sejun is left screaming in disbelief as he realizes his favorite hat has been stolen as a souvenir. But Sejun calmly refuses the violence, offering the bear some honey instead to keep the peace. Then, the realization hits them. The title chairman isn't a nickname, it's the secret address for the great black dragon himself. The Silver Wolf tribe trembles before a legend, the great black dragon who rules the 99th floor. They mistake Park Sejun for this legendary being and immediately hit the dirt, apologizing profusely. Sejun and Theo are completely baffled. Neither of them has any idea what's going on. Meanwhile, Eileen is losing it. She finds this whole misunderstanding absolutely hilarious. She issues a new quest. Sejun must show the wolves the majesty of the great black dragon, or face her disappointment. That's when it hits him. Eileen isn't just the tower manager. She's actually a black dragon herself. Deciding to roll with it, Sejun leans into the bit and starts channeling his inner villain. He strikes a terrifying pose, declaring how dare they threaten his subordinate Theo. But Eileen is absolutely losing her mind watching this disaster unfold in real time. Sejun fully commits to the bit, declaring himself the Black Dragon's subordinate and demanding everyone kneel. He sets the price for threatening Theo at a ridiculous 10,000 tower coins, watching the wolves sweat. The Silver Wolf tribe is stunned into silence. That amount is practically impossible for them. Theo steps up to demand they pay with their bodies instead, essentially forcing them to work off the debt. But Elka hesitates, realizing they can't just abandon their current obligations to Grid. The tower manager warns Sejun that the wolves are refusing the offer, but Sejun pauses to listen to their reason. Elka reveals his tribe is starving due to a drought on the 85th floor and works for Grid just to survive. If they break their contract with Grid to work for Sejun, their food supply gets cut off and the young wolves will die. Desperate, Elka begs Sejun to take their lives instead of forcing them to break their word. Sejun asks for his name, learning he is Elka, the Silver Wolf Chieftain. Sejun points to the fields, explaining that this is a place of cultivation, not just conflict. He proposes a new deal. The tribe works for him to pay off the debt, but he provides food for everyone. With a simple handshake, Sejun turns a potential enemy into a loyal workforce, solving the food crisis for both sides. The Wolf Chieftain, tears in his eyes, finally accepts his place as a worker for the farm. With the oxen joining the cause, Sejun's workforce is officially complete and ready to build an empire. Meanwhile, high above, Eileen the Black Dragon beams with pride as the tower manager rejoices at her praise. Sejun seals the deal by appointing Theo as the official supervisor, giving the small cat authority over the entire tribe. The mighty wolves and oxen immediately bow to their new tiny boss, who is already demanding respect. But Theo's first act as chairman is to demand fish, completely ignoring the fact that they have none. The black rabbit, who was just digging, is horrified to learn there's no fish for Theo's feast. Theo throws a massive tantrum, threatening to quit his job unless his demands are met. To calm everyone down, Sejun and the Black Rabbit follow the water flow to a brand new pristine spring. The Black Rabbit swings a massive hammer, shattering the rocks blocking the waterway with incredible force. Park Seo-joon is impressed as the entrance expands, finally allowing the rabbit to swim back and forth freely. But as the dust settles, Sejun realizes the cave beyond is pitch black, making it far too dangerous to enter. Desperate for a light source, Sejun asks Theo if the wandering merchant has any lanterns in his inventory. Theo digs through his bag and pulls out a purple necklace, which the system initially identifies as a worthless, scratched jewel. The dull stone transforms into the Necklace of Light, a C-grade artifact that glows with bright, magical energy. With the light magic active, Sejun realizes they can finally see inside the dark hole in the pond to explore safely. To thank Theo for the find, Sejun announces that the cat is no longer just a visitor, but the official sales cat for the farm. Theo goes wild with joy, shouting that he is sales cat Theo forever, ready to handle the crop distribution. Sejun celebrates Theo's promotion by making him president for the day, and the cat absolutely loses it with joy. President Theo immediately issues his first executive order: use the necklace to fish up a massive haul. Black Rabbit eagerly agrees to the mission, ready to dive in and get the farm some serious protein. The necklace glows with a beautiful soft light, and Sejun realizes it shines brighter based on the user's mana level. When he tries it on Black Rabbit, the little guy's necklace absolutely blasts with light, proving his mana is way higher than Sejun's. Sejun equips Black Rabbit with a dagger and pouch since the hammer won't work underwater, plus a safety rope for emergencies. With all safety measures in place, Black Rabbit takes a deep breath and dives into the mysterious dark hole. Black Rabbit swims deeper into the tunnel, the necklace illuminating a path through the crystal clear water. The rabbit stumbles upon an absolutely breathtaking underwater cave filled with glowing blue crystals and vibrant magical flora. And then it appears a massive ethereal whale-like creature, glowing with starlight and swimming through this hidden magical ecosystem. The Black Rabbit glided deeper, the necklace casting light on a whale that seemed to swim through starlight itself. But this peaceful dive wasn't just for sightseeing. Our little hunter spotted a massive electric eel drifting through the currents. Remembering the treasures Sejun could make, the rabbit tightened its grip on its knife, ready to hunt. With a swift strike, the rabbit drove its blade deep into the eel's side. A brilliant golden core pulsed from the wound, radiating pure magical energy. Holding that prize, the rabbit couldn't help but imagine Sejun's face lighting up with pride. This was it, proof that even a small rabbit could bring home game worthy of the farm. Just as the rabbit climbed aboard its catch, feeling triumphant, the water suddenly grew cold. A shadow eclipsed them all. A shark so massive its jaws could swallow the rabbit whole. Panic surged as the rabbit scrambled for the seaweed rope, heart pounding in its tiny chest. The beast lunged, but the rope held, leaving the rabbit dangling in the dark, wondering what other monsters lurked in these depths. Down in the dark, that tiny rabbit wasn't just dangling, it was fighting for its life against a hungry shark. But up on the surface, Park Sejun felt a sudden violent tug on the other end of the line. It wasn't a monster attacking, it was a desperate signal from someone down there trying to hold on. Without a second thought, Sejun rallied his entire farm crew, from the cats to the baby rabbits to pull. The weight was massive, dragging them all down, but the sheer force of their combined willpower finally broke the current. When the figure finally broke the surface, Sejun froze, recognizing the distinct dark fur of a black rabbit. He cradled the unconscious stranger in his arms, but the little guy wasn't moving or breathing right. Panic set in as Sejun frantically shook him, screaming for him to wake up before it was too late. Desperate to save the stranger, Sejun didn't hesitate to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on the lifeless rabbit. The plan worked instantly as the black rabbit gasped for air, leaving Sejun sputtering water in sheer relief. Watching from afar, Eileen found the situation hilarious, noting that Sejun had just sacrificed his first kiss to save a stranger. Once recovered, the black rabbit revealed he had fallen through a hole leading to the Sea of Dimensions. Sejun learned this dangerous ocean exists between tower floors, filled with monsters that usually can't reach his farm. To thank Sejun for saving him, the rabbit pulled a glowing orb from his bag, claiming it was the insides of a giant electric eel. The system identified the item as the insides of a 1,000-year-old eel, granting the power to learn thunder skills. Before Sejun could celebrate, the black rabbit hooked a massive eel head from the water, dripping with oily blood. The scent instantly triggered a feeding frenzy as the pond exploded with piranhas and giant crayfish drawn to the smell. Instead of panicking, Sejun realized this was a massive protein source and hugged the rabbit in pure excitement. He immediately ordered the whole crew to start a fire for a massive meat party to feast on the monsters. Just as Sejun was about to enjoy a peaceful meal, Theo burst in with shocking news. His family back in the outside world was apparently in danger. But Theo revealed that a man named Kim Dong-shik from the Phoenix Guild was already protecting them. Turns out, the cherry tomato Sejun grew had become so popular, they were worth a family's safety. Grateful for the favor, Sejun immediately decided to gift Kim even more crops when he returned. While cuddling Theo, Sejun remembered the glowing orb the black rabbit had given him earlier. It was the insides of a giant electric eel that could grant him a rain and thunder skill. For the first time, he could learn actual adventurer skills instead of just farming technique. Theo begged him to eat it immediately, but Sejun suddenly froze in realization. There was one tiny problem preventing him from using this powerful new item. The item required at least 10 mana to consume, but Sejun only had 8.05. Theo erupted into the most unhinged laughter, calling Sejun the weakest farmer ever. When Sejun demanded to know Theo's mana stat, the cat simply refused to answer. Sejun caught the smug cat and attached the electric orb to his collar as punishment. But while they were distracted, the bear family was enjoying something much sweeter. While Theo grumbled about his low mana, the crimson giant bear was busy being a doting mother. The whole farm was celebrating with a massive feast, featuring fresh fish and vegetables. The wolf tribe leader, Elka, was practically swooning over Sejun, calling him the Great Black Dragon for sharing such a meal. Sejun struck a deal. If they helped with the farm work, he'd provide enough fish to feed their entire tribe on the 85th floor. With the farm now fully staffed, Sejun handed the reins to Theo, ordering him to get the delayed crops planted. Theo eagerly accepted the role of foreman, marching off with his new wolf employees in tow. But Sejun wasn't staying behind. He turned to the Minotaurs with a chillingly calm declaration. He announced his destination. He was going to collect a debt from the Minotaur King himself. The journey led them to the Minotaur King's territory, a desolate desert dominated by a massive, ominous tower. The Minotaurs were overjoyed to find a pile of fresh grass, their first taste in ages, and they ate with pure bliss. But they admitted they'd failed their mission. They got so distracted by the tasty grass, they couldn't even find Sejun's lost cattle. With the Minotaur King face-palming in the background, Sejun's party was ready to confront him and settle the score. The Minotaur King face-palms in absolute shame, admitting he should be disqualified as a warrior for getting distracted by delicious grass. But as he examines the neatly planted grass, he realizes this isn't just any field. It's carefully cultivated by skilled hands. His eyes light up with recognition as he connects the dots that white farmer rabbit must be behind this incredible harvest. Eating the grass with newfound respect, he vows to return and pay properly because a true warrior doesn't steal from small monsters. With only an hour before the blue moon resets his time limit, he's already planning his next visit to negotiate for quality grass. But there's a problem. He's scratching his head, wondering what he could possibly offer as payment to these farming experts. His gaze drifts upward to a massive blue crystal floating above the 99th floor's waypoint, and an idea sparks in his mind. Could this ancient crystal be worth enough to buy grass from the white farmer rabbit? He's about to find out. The rabbits have become such skilled farmers that they're now harvesting alongside Sejun with proper tools. Park Sejun tells his team to gather as many tomatoes as possible before they head out for the day. He harvests 9 ripe magic cherry tomatoes at once, and the system notifications start flooding in. All that hard work pays off as his tower farming skill finally breaks through to C rank. But here's the real kicker. Leveling up awakens a hidden talent called Friend of Nature. Sejun realizes this means he can now communicate clearly with animals and plants that don't share his language. He tentatively calls out to Rabbit Dad, and the rabbit actually responds in perfect human speech. Park Sejun nearly falls over in shock as the rabbits start talking to him like old friends. He grabs the sickle-wielding rabbit and demands he say it again, tears of joy in his eyes. Sejun's got a rabbit threatening to slash him, and honestly, he's never been happier in his life. Turns out, he just unlocked some kind of translation skill, and now he can finally understand what his furry little workers have been saying all along. The entire rabbit family loses their minds when they realize Sejun actually gets their words. Gathering around like this is the best day ever. He's hugging every single rabbit, finally able to have real conversations after months of just guessing what they wanted. From the black rabbit to the watering can rabbit, everyone's got stories to tell and frustrations to share, and Sejun's ready to listen to every word. But wait, there's more. Even the queen poisonous honeybee herself shows up, and guess what? She can talk too. Sejun's petting her head like she's just another one of his beloved farm animals, and she's absolutely loving every second of it. Her eyes are sparkling with pure joy because finally, someone's treating her like the royalty she is, not just a weapon. She tackles him with a hug that's equal parts affection and "I'm going to sting anyone who hurts you," which is honestly adorable. Before he knows it, he's completely covered in her little bee subjects, all of them showing love in their own buzzing way. Sejun's sitting there in the middle of his entire animal family, ready to share this incredible news with everyone outside the cave. But when he puts his hat back on, something strange happens. A system window pops up, and Sejun's about to find out that this day just got a whole lot weirder. Just as Sejun puts on his trusty hat, the system chimes with some incredible news. The relic straw hat of St. Patrick has upgraded to grade C, and suddenly a flood of new abilities unlocks. Among them is Growth Promoter, a skill that accelerates crop growth for a week without any side effects. An idea strikes Sejun as he looks at his happy animal family and the crops waiting to be planted. He plants Sweet Potato Sun. Pumpkin shoots outside the cave and immediately activates Growth Promoter. Golden light erupts from the ground as the tiny shoots begin to grow at an incredible rate. He plants them right next to the green onion field since space is tight, wondering if it'll cause problems. But instead of issues, the system announces that the green onion's harvest energy has seeped into the pumpkins. It's a double buff that increases the pumpkin yield by 50%, letting Sejun harvest faster than expected. Just as Sejun celebrates his luck, a deafening roar shakes the sky above his peaceful farm. The crimson giant bear crashes down, screaming for its dad, and Sejun realizes this family reunion is about to get very dangerous. The cub bear screams, "Dad!" at the top of its lungs, and Sejun realizes this isn't an attack, it's a family reunion. The giant bear nuzzles Sejun affectionately, and he's shocked to hear her speak, calling him Dad, despite never having dated anyone. The mother bear bows deeply, thanking Sejun for taking in both her and her son Kwang, treating him like a true guardian. Sejun awkwardly accepts his new role, deciding to think of Kwang as his cute and chunky son while patting the cub's head. Kwang immediately demands honey, green onions, sweet potatoes, and fish, and Sejun decides to cook something special for his new family. Sejun reveals he just harvested potatoes, but these aren't normal. They're strength potatoes grown in the tower. These magical potatoes break down fat and boost strength by 0.5 for 10 minutes per 30 grams, stacking up to 10 times an hour. Sejun calls everyone over with a basket of steaming potatoes, ready to share his latest harvest with the entire farm. The whole farm gathers rabbits, wolves, dragons, and bears, all ready to feast together in this peaceful moment of community. The whole farm gathers, wolves, bears, dragons, and rabbits, all united around baskets of golden potatoes and corn. Park Sejun looks around at his chaotic, beautiful family, realizing he's built something truly special in this tower. The sun shines on rows of healthy crops, and for the first time, Sejun believes better days are truly ahead. Even the tough red bear cub, Kwang, was crying, refusing to let Park Sejun go without him. Sejun had to promise a quick return to calm the little guy down before he could leave. With a heavy heart, Sejun mounted the great black dragon, finally setting off toward the Minotaur king. The journey was surprisingly fast, whisking them across the desert in the blink of an eye. But as they approached the 99th floor, a dark, ominous forest loomed on the horizon. The Minotaurs warned Sejun that this was a territory of the corrupt beings of the West. Just as Sejun wondered what made them corrupt, a violent impact struck him from behind. He was knocked cold instantly, leaving his companions in a panic as he hit the ground. Sejun jolts awake, covered in mud, wondering what hit him. He's surrounded by Minotaurs, eating mud. Apparently, this wasteland has nothing else to eat. One Minotaur apologizes profusely, calling Sejun a great black dragon. Clearly, they think he's someone important. Enter Ox 4, a massive Minotaur who immediately starts threatening Sejun and Theo as toys. But before he can hurt them, another Minotaur knocks him cold. Turns out there's serious tension within this group. Ox 3 and Ox 4, clearly terrified of their own kind, decide to take Sejun straight to the Minotaur King. They arrive at the Minotaur King's throne room, where the ruler is lounging like he owns the place. The king assumes Sejun is a servant of the Red Fur, Jessica, and offers to save him from unfair treatment. Sejun introduces himself and Theo, but the king doesn't seem to care about names. He's too busy making assumptions. The king mentions he's tasted Sejun's grass before and acknowledges the difficulty of surviving on the 99th floor. He offers protection from the red fur, thinking Sejun is some kind of weakling underdog. But Sejun shuts that down. He's not here to be saved. He's here to get paid for the crops the king stole 3 days ago. Sejun made it crystal clear he wasn't here to be saved. He was here to collect what the Minotaur king stole from his field 3 days ago. The king exploded in fury, slamming his massive fist down and roaring at how dare anyone call the strongest being on the 99th floor a thief. But Sejun wasn't backing down, pointing right at the king's face and calling out how black Minotaurs were supposed to be warriors of honor. The king turned to his subjects, asking if it was true that he'd stolen the grass he'd eaten, and the tension in the air was absolutely suffocating. Suddenly, the mighty Minotaur king was kneeling and stammering about a misunderstanding, claiming he just came in a rush and didn't have much time. With a nervous grin, he offered Sejun anything he wanted. Legendary items, rare treasures, whatever his heart desired. But Sejun didn't want legendary items or rare treasures. He simply asked to use the waypoint, the gateway that could take him outside the tower. The Minotaur King's eyes went wide with shock as the glowing blue waypoint crystal activated, its energy filling the air. With a roar of honor, the king stood tall and invited Sejun forward, granting him permission to use the waypoint for both their sakes. And then it hit Sejun. This was it. He could finally go outside the tower after all this time trapped inside. The waypoint stood before him, a massive crystal archway pulsing with blue energy, the gateway to freedom he'd been dreaming of. With his heart pounding and fear watching from his shoulder, Sejun reached out toward the crystal, ready to step through and see what waited beyond. Park Sejun touched the crystal archway, heart racing as the waypoint hummed to life. This was it, his ticket to freedom after 150 days trapped inside. But the system slammed the door shut with a code error message. He couldn't move to another floor because he only had the 99th floor registered. A tower guardian appeared, explaining the brutal rule. Outsiders must register every waypoint from the first floor up one by one to unlock travel between floors. Sejun's fist clenched tight as the truth hit him. He'd been dreaming of escape, but the tower never intended to let him leave so easily. He collapsed to his knees beside Theo, the blue crystal glowing mockingly above him. His hope was gone, but the tower's secrets were just beginning to unfold. Sejun realized the hard truth. He was stuck on the 99th floor until he cleared every waypoint below. The Minotaur King stood over him, cold and final, declaring their debt was officially paid. But when Sejun tried to make an offer, the beast's eye widened in pure, offended shock. Sejun had Theo dump a massive pile of fresh green onions right in front of the throne. The scent called out to the tribe, and suddenly the entire Minotaur army appeared, drooling. With a confident wink, Sejun pitched the ultimate trade, unlimited crops in exchange for their manpower. Back at the farm, the little bear cub Kung sensed something and looked up with wide, hopeful eyes. The cub screamed for his dad and sprinted across the field as fast as his little legs could carry him. Sejun was immediately swallowed by a massive group hug, proving he wasn't alone in this tower. Just when Sejun thought his farm family was complete, a whole new crew rolled in. The Minotaur King had struck a deal. Clear the wasteland, and they'd have free reign over the land. These weren't just workers, they were eager, muscle-bound enthusiasts itching to dig. Kua proved his street cred by name-dropping Ox 3, instantly becoming the crew's favorite little buddy. With a workforce secured and his little family watching, Sejun's farm was about to go big. The Minotaur settled who would work tomorrow with a classic rock-paper-scissors tournament. 10 lucky bulls got the call, and the winner was absolutely pumped to get started. The Minotaur King hadn't seen his people this energized in ages. But As he looked up at the tower's higher floors, he wondered if being good neighbors might cause some noise issues. Meanwhile, Pixby Empire was thriving beyond anyone's expectations. Despite the blue moon approaching, the swarm had already filled dozens of jars with golden honey. Sejun made sure Kung got a taste, though he warned the cub to pace himself. The crimson giant bear was heading deep into the forest for the blue moon, and Sejun wasn't letting her go empty-handed. With extra honey and supplies packed, everyone was ready for whatever the moon brought, but Sejun knew tomorrow would test them all. Sejun made sure the crimson giant bear and her allies were fed before the chaos began. The black rabbit revealed a mountain of seafood he'd caught in the Sea of Dimensions. The wolves bowed deeply, overwhelmed by the generosity of this strange new ally. With their bellies full, the bear and her pack marched into the forest to wait out the storm. But as the blue moon approached, Sejun couldn't shake the dread tightening his chest. When that eerie blue light hits, every monster in the tower becomes a bloodthirsty beast. He remembered how easily the fields were trampled last time, leaving his harvest defenseless. Everyone else was hiding underground, but Sejun's crops were sitting right out in the open. Just as panic set in, Eileen's voice cut through his fear with a simple, terrifying promise. Park Sejun takes a deep breath and decides to trust Eileen with his farm survival. Meanwhile, Eileen Fridani puffs up her chest, ready to prove she's more than just a manager. The black dragon bursts through her tower window, ready to face whatever comes. She surveys her domain, the tower, the pond, and Sejun's precious crops below. But then the ground shakes as the entire island begins to ascend into the clouds. Eileen takes one last moment to enjoy the fresh air before the storm hits. Her eyes glow with determination as she activates the tower's defensive systems. The great black dragon is finally stepping in to save the day, but can she stop what's coming? Theo's heart swells seeing the baby rabbits he once protected, now grown into adults. Sejun hands Theo a special cocoon from the queen bee, knowing it might save their lives. The queen, poisonous honeybee, left this cocoon before departing, a gift that keeps giving. The sky darkens as the blue moon rises, casting an eerie glow over the island. The once cute rabbits transform into bloodthirsty monsters with glowing red eyes. Sejun sits frozen as these terrifying creatures close in, their transformation complete. Sejun can't get used to how quickly they change, even after seeing it before. His system warns of nearby monsters, but Eileen hasn't even arrived yet. The rabbits aren't attacking. Why aren't their violent looks changing like last time? The rabbits aren't just acting weird, they've gone completely feral, their eyes glowing red with pure madness. Park Sejun is completely overwhelmed, screaming as his cute farm animals turn into a terrifying horde. Just as all hope seems lost, a massive terrifying silhouette emerges from the darkness. Eileen Fritani, the black dragon, takes flight in her true adult form, a breathtaking and terrifying sight. Even the local monsters, like this giant branch ant, are forced to scatter in fear at her presence. But then, Eileen's voice comes through, laughing and asking what Sejun thinks of her amazing performance. She reveals the shocking truth. Her adult form is just an illusion, a magic tool created by her grandfather. Since she can't leave her control room during the blue moon, she's been remotely projecting this powerful avatar to protect the tower. With the blue moon's power fading, the terrifying monster rabbits begin to glow and transform. In a flash of light, they're back to being the adorable, innocent bunnies Sejun knows and loves. Overwhelmed with relief, Sejun collapses to his knees, hugging his friends and breathing a huge sigh of relief. With the rabbits back to normal, Sejun's heart swells with pure relief and joy. He immediately harvests the glowing crops. Knowing Eileen needs this remedy, Sejun sends the magical crops up to the tower manager without hesitation. Exhausted from her duties, Aileen decides now is the perfect time to test this potential cure for her dragon heart. The moment she consumes the crops, her body erupts with purple mana as her long dormant heart begins to thunder. For the first time in ages, she feels a stable flow of mana coursing through her veins. But then, a system notification shocks her. She's just reproduced a forgotten dish called honey sweet potatoes. And as if that wasn't enough, a mysterious glowing orb appears before her, making her wonder if Sejun's farming magic might be even more powerful than she imagined. Deep in the forest, a small, innocent tree creature lets out a terrified cry as it's suddenly snatched from the ground. It's not a rescue, but a gruesome meal as a massive, ancient tree monster crushes the smaller one in its gnarled grip. The beast reveals itself as a corrupted ent, a terrifying entity with glowing red eyes that signals a new, darker threat in the tower. Meanwhile, the wolf chieftain makes a solemn vow to his wife, declaring that their tribe now serves the great black dragon. With a new purpose, he rallies his people, announcing their departure for the 99th floor without a moment to waste. Their destination is the Passageway Village, a bustling hub where the chieftain's ambition will soon bring him face to face with the tower's elite. The rabbits sprinted for their lives, screaming not to be caught as their monstrous forms fled through the village. A wolf sliver lunged with terrifying speed, his claws inches from tearing through the tiny baby rabbit. Pick the Bee buzzed desperately, but the rabbits were cornered with nowhere left to run. The wolf's eyes glowed crimson with hunger as he loomed over his trembling prey. El Cap's ears twitched at the desperate cries, and he spun around to investigate the chaos. The slaver wolves had already caught their prey, gloating about how many floors they'd climbed to hunt these runaway slaves. One wolf opened his jaws wide, ready to devour a baby rabbit as a snack. But before he could take a bite, El Cap's massive paw crushed him into the ground with overwhelming force. The gray wolf gently cradled the rescued rabbit, his golden eyes burning with righteous fury. The remaining slaver wolf recognized El Cap immediately and panicked, screaming that he was Grid's subordinate. El Cap didn't care about their excuses or threats to snitch to that wild boar Grid. He bared his teeth in a menacing growl, ordering them to get lost before he bit the back of their necks. The slaver wolf swallowed hard, his bravado completely shattered by El Cap's terrifying authority. El Cap's pack retreated, leaving the slavers behind in a cloud of dust. But the wolf captain couldn't just leave these shivering babies to the wolves. He decided to take them to the Black Dragon, hoping she might have a use for them. Meanwhile, Sejun was bursting with energy after his mana finally hit double digits. He declared he was finally ready to eat the giant eel's insides to unlock a new skill. He took a bite, expecting power, but was hit with a surprisingly delicious orange soda flavor. The system confirmed he had consumed the eel and learned the rain and thunder skill. But the victory was short-lived, as the system immediately flagged his mana as insufficient. Both the rain and thunder attacks were sealed, leaving him with a skill he couldn't actually use. Refusing to give up, Sejun screamed at the sky to create dark clouds. A single lonely cloud appeared, earning polite applause from his animal audience. He realized he had burned a third of his total mana just to make a tiny weather balloon. But the red bear cub didn't care about the stats, cheering that his dad was the best. After everything, Sejun just needed this, Kwang nuzzling him like the world was perfect. Theo complained about the sun, while Sejun asked his cloud spell to move over, proving that even farmers have bad days. Just then, Elka the wolf merchant returned with a companion, calling out to the great black dragon. But when Sejun saw what the wolves brought, his heart stopped. 3 gray rabbits huddled in terror. They were covered in scars, begging not to be eaten, and Sejun realized something was terribly wrong. Then, the baby rabbit looked up and whispered the words that shattered Sejun's world, Mom and Dad. The baby rabbit couldn't believe it. His parents, who abandoned him to survive, were somehow still alive. The gray rabbit, once the fox rabbit Zerath, cried out for Sejun, remembering the farmer who fed them. As the family embraced in tears, Sejun stood frozen, wondering how they survived the blue moon's curse. After the heart-wrenching reunion, Sejun finally gets a feast on the table for his starving family. He even shares his precious milk supply, telling the grateful Zerath to just call him Sejun. Even Wolf Chieftain Elka is moved by the word family, a concept her tribe has long forgotten. But Sejun quickly realizes these aren't just survivors, they are highly skilled technical experts. Sejun asks how they escaped the tower, learning that Elka saved them from their old exploiters. Then Zerath drops a bombshell. They've been stuck on the 55th floor this whole time. Confused, Sejun asks about the monsters in the kingdom they supposedly rule. The rabbits reveal they were once the proud rulers of the Red Ribbon Kingdom. But that glorious kingdom fell decades ago, leaving nothing but survivors. A terrifying red aura consumed their home, turning a paradise into a wasteland. We see flashes of their past life, a thriving society with its own castle and farms. So how did a peaceful farming society get wiped out? And what exactly destroyed them? They lived in a golden age of peace, protected by a king who wielded a massive sword. But then, the sky turned red as an army of shadow monsters descended from nowhere. The peaceful village was instantly overrun, and the kingdom's defenses crumbled in seconds. The once proud kingdom fell into ruin, leaving nothing but broken statues and ash behind. The royal family vanished in the chaos, scattering the survivors to the winds. The refugees fled to the 55th floor, hoping to find a safe place to settle down. But they found a tyrant waiting for them instead, a wild boar warlord named Grid. Grid commanded a massive tribe and declared himself the landlord of the entire floor. He enslaved the rabbits, turning their beautiful kingdom into a forced labor farm. The suffering was unbearable, forcing them to flee once more to escape Grid's grip. Sejun realized the truth behind the 99th floor and offered them immediate shelter. As the exhausted refugees headed to the cave, Sejun was left to ponder the dangers of Grid. Sejun realizes Grid was hunting for that straw hat all along. Elka confirms the landlord can't reach the 99th floor, no matter how much money he throws at mercenaries. With that, Sejun can finally rest easy, knowing his refugees are safe from Grid's pursuit. But while Sejun relaxes, Grid is absolutely fuming in his castle on the 55th floor. His wolf minions report that Elka betrayed them, stole the rabbits, and even left them wounded. Grid doesn't care about the betrayal. He just knows once food runs low, Elka will come begging for help. He's already plotting to starve the entire tower into submission, just like he conquered this floor decades ago. Meanwhile, back in the cave, morning sunlight filters through the opening above Sejun's tomato patch. Sejun wakes up and tries to rouse the lazy sales cat Theo, who just wants to sleep more. But then he stumbles upon something incredible, a proper wooden wash basin with running water. There's even a shiny red ladle. Sejun can't believe his gray rabbits built this entire bathroom setup for him. Sejun's jaw drops when he finds not just running water, but a shiny red ladle to go with it. But the real shock awaits outside. His rabbits have built an entire kitchen with a working furnace and steaming pot. They've even crafted a proper dining table with handmade spoons and chopsticks, complete with matching bowls. The little ones call themselves Pimik, Pipik, and Pirik, and they've been working non-stop to show their gratitude. Pimik presents Pipik with a cloth, thanking him for caring for them the day before. The gray rabbits bow deeply, offering to help Sejun in any way they can with their abilities. Sejun's eyes light up as he realizes something amazing. He can actually hire these eager little workers. With Pimik and Pupik officially on the payroll, Sejun's farming operation is finally leveling up. Even the little cat, Nya, gets in on the action, demanding her own mobile tower. But the rabbits are shocked to discover their boss has been sleeping on a pile of green onion leaves. Sejun admits he's been exposed to the elements while expanding his fields, so he agrees to the construction project. To make sturdy bricks, they need mud and sand, which triggers a sudden realization in Sejun's mind. He heads straight for the Minotaur King's territory, bringing the wolf chieftain Elka along as a witness. The Minotaur King is confused why anyone would want their food, but Sejun proposes a trade. He offers unlimited green onions in exchange for the mud, forcing the king to stop his minions from eating the building materials. With the deal sealed, the Crimson Bear and the Minotaurs are put to work, uprooting trees and digging earth with terrifying efficiency. But Sejun didn't need a sword to handle these monsters, he just needed a jar of honey. The Crimson Bear and Wolf Chieftain Elka froze, their aggression instantly melting into curiosity. With a sweet smile, Sejun offered the sticky treat, turning a terrifying raid into a snack time. Even the skeptical Wolf Chieftain couldn't resist the scent, drooling as he accepted his share. With the beast distracted, Sejun turned back to the fields, pulling up a cluster of glowing sweet sun pumpkin potatoes. The system chimed with every tuber he pulled, boosting his harvest proficiency until he finally leveled up and earned a bonus stat. He cheered at the massive haul, though the midday sun was already starting to fry his face. No problem for a farmer of his caliber. He simply summoned a personal dark cloud to shield himself from the heat. As he eyed the mountain of green onions, he realized he needed a warehouse to store all this surplus. Just then, the wandering merchant Theo bounded into the farm, eager to continue their business relationship. Sejun pitched his detoxifying green onions, and Theo immediately scooped up 100 for his next trip. The pungent scent made the cat gag, but he packed the bundle anyway, promising to return quickly with his payment. Theo was practically gagging as he shoved the pungent green onions into his bag, desperate to get away from the smell. He promised to return quickly with payment, sprinting off into the distance, while the rest of the farm crew just watched him go. Meanwhile, deep within the dangerous 67th floor, the atmosphere was thick with tension. A lone lizardman hunter proved he was a skilled predator, silently stalking a frog before dropping it with a precise arrow. He approached his catch with a casual confidence, clearly used to ruling this part of the forest. But he made a fatal mistake by crushing a strange red insect along with his meal. The moment the poison hit his system, his eyes widened in absolute panic as he realized what he'd just done. He looked up to see the trees above him suddenly filled with thousands of glowing red eyes. The entire forest erupted as a massive swarm descended, drawn by the scent of the poison. The lizard man screamed in pure terror as he was instantly overwhelmed by the sheer number of insects. Within seconds, the hunter was completely wiped out, leaving nothing but a cloud of dust and a crater where he once stood. Poor Kwang was finally catching some Zays when the tower's alarm system decided to throw a raid. The little dragon groaned and checked his crystal ball, only to be bombarded with over 1,000 unread alerts. Then he saw the number that would haunt his dreams. Over 5 billion red locusts had invaded the 67th floor. Kung's blood ran cold. This hadn't happened in a century, and his own grandfather barely saved the 55th floor back then. Desperate, Kung tried to activate manager authority to call for help, but the system flat out refused to connect. As he watched helplessly, the devastation counter ticked up 0.01%, then 0.02% of the floor already consumed. Park Sejun takes a deep breath, savoring the rich, oily aroma of fresh eels sizzling in the pan. He carefully warns his rabbit family to stay back from the hot oil while he prepares the side dishes. Then he drops a bombshell on the curious rabbits, asking if they've ever heard of candied sweet potatoes. Sejun realizes how useful it was to save that eel oil, now perfect for deep frying the sweet potatoes. He fries them until golden and crispy, then slathers them in honey until they're absolutely dripping with sweetness. The system recognizes his work, registering the forgotten candied sweet potato recipe and boosting his cooking proficiency to level 1. Not stopping there, Sejun asks Nya to fry up a piranha the same way, eager to see what happens. But the system refuses to acknowledge the fried piranha recipe, leaving Sejun scratching his head about the standards. Undeterred, he and Nya celebrate the fun of discovery, already planning to slather honey on the fish next time. Sejun calls everyone over, and the whole farm gathers for a massive feast under the open sky. The table overflows with roasted eel, fried piranha, and bowls of glistening candied sweet and regular potatoes. As the Minotaurs and rabbits dig in, they all agree that food tastes best when eaten after hard work. The feast winds down, with everyone full and happy in the warm afternoon sun. But Sejun's smile fades when he remembers the plate of food he saved for Aileen. She hasn't answered his calls, and the food is getting cold, which is a bad sign. Meanwhile, Aileen is losing her mind trying to fix a massive system failure. A terrifying notification flashes. The red locusts have devastated the 67th floor. Over at the merchant passageway, the big shots are calling an emergency summit. We see heavy hitters like Hannibal the Tiger and Mason the Fox taking their seats. Mason drops the bombshell that 2/3 of the 67th floor has already fallen. Mason drops a terrifying truth. If these red locusts capture the waypoint, they'll flood the 68th and 69th floors. That's where the Lizardman Kingdom's Draken Farm sits, one of the tower's 5 major granaries. Mason warns a great famine could strike again. Iona, the hamster leader, explodes with rage, recounting how a massive locust invasion destroyed the Red Ribbon Kingdom 2 centuries ago. He's furious at Q, the boar who rebuilt the granary, accusing him of exploiting the rabbit tribe and shutting down food distribution to the entire tower. Hannibal slams his fist on the table, screaming that Iona's going too far, while Mason desperately tries to keep the peace. Everyone starts panicking, screaming that the Great Black Dragon is supposed to protect them. They're counting on Aileen to save the day. But Iona walks across the table with a grim warning. Last time, the locusts appeared. The Black Dragon didn't step in quickly enough. He delivers the chilling truth. There's no guarantee Aileen will show up this time either. Half the kingdom died waiting for her last time. He challenges the other leaders directly. If they don't act now with all their power, the entire tower's order will collapse. Meanwhile, over in the desert, Wolf Chieftain Elka and her tribe are holed up in a makeshift camp, trying to survive. Elka's subordinate Elko is holding a baby wolf, desperate to know how long they can stay hidden. They have no time left. Suddenly, a small cat appears on a hay bale, calling out, "Ha! Juicy!" And Elka and Elko turn to face this mysterious visitor. The starving wolf pups can't believe their luck when this mysterious cat merchant appears out of nowhere. Theo plays it cool, claiming he's a vital underling of the Black Dragon himself. That name alone makes the wolf's eyes sparkle with desperate hope. He even rewards them with dried fish, and the pups go absolutely wild with joy. But then Theo reaches into his bag and finds something that makes his fur stand on end. A glowing orb that definitely wasn't there before, and Theo has no idea how it got there. Elka immediately senses the danger and scoops him up without hesitation. She tells him to hold on tight because they're leaving at maximum speed. The wolf chieftain bolts toward the 38th floor, and Theo's got no choice but to trust her. Park Sejun's heart sank as he frantically dug through his green onion patch, searching for something that should have been there. The harvested Sweet Sun pumpkin potatoes were gone, vanished right after he finished cutting the detoxifying green onions. A sinking feeling hit him. Could Theo have taken them? But then relief washed over him. He must have just transplanted them to a new spot. Just as he calmed down, a notification popped up. The seed store was finally open for the day. 4 seed types appeared on screen. Flame bean seeds at 5 coins each, strawberries, carrots, and shangang peppers. 1 single flame bean seed cost a whopping 5 tower coins. That was his entire budget for the day. Sejun hesitated. Spending everything on 1 exotic seed meant no backup plan. Too risky. Playing it safe, Sejun went with familiar choices: 20,000 carrot seeds, 100 strawberry seeds, and 100 chonggang pepper seeds. The system confirmed his purchases, deducting all 5 tower coins and adding 50 mileage points to his account. Holding those precious seed bags, Sejun felt energized just imagining strawberries and spicy peppers growing in his fields. He sprinted toward the peak, shouting about the carrot seeds, ready to expand their farming operation above ground. Meanwhile, far away in Gangnam, the tower loomed over the city skyline on a deceptively peaceful day. An elderly man stepped out, remarking on the nice weather, but his student, Cha-seuk, looked deeply worried. The curse of the flame was spreading, and Cha-seuk desperately urged his teacher to get back inside to safety. While Sejun farmed, the tower's 38th floor was becoming a nightmare for raiders. The master learned that Dongshik was stuck fighting a deadly tarantula that emits poison even healing magic can't cure. Meanwhile, a foreign association tried to use Sejun's younger brother Sedol to get close to him. But Sedol handled it effortlessly, making the master laugh with relief at his family's safety. Suddenly, the master doubled over, coughing up blood as the ancient flame curse flared up again. He popped the magic cherry tomato into his mouth, and instantly, the pain vanished, replaced by pure energy. Realizing the power Sejong possessed, the master declared that Park Sejong was a national treasure Korea could not afford to lose. He vowed to protect Sejun, confident that Dongshik would eventually find a way to cure the curse completely. Back in the tower, Dongshik screamed as he swung his sword, trying to cut through the endless horde. But for every spider he killed, 2 more crawled out of the shadows, blocking every escape route. Realizing they were being swarmed to death, Dongshik shouted for everyone to retreat and regroup immediately. Just as Dongshik ordered the retreat, a massive shadow dropped from the sky. Suha threw herself in front of the beast, her sword clashing against the monster's deadly pincers. With a desperate surge of strength, she drove her blade straight into the spider's skull. The beast collapsed, but the victory was short-lived, as the team realized Suha had been poisoned. The healers managed to halt the poison's spread, but they had no antidotes left and no alchemist nearby. In the middle of this panic, a familiar voice called out, revealing the cat merchant Theo standing right there. While Dongshik panicked about the trading day, Theo just saw a sleeping beauty and decided to use her for a nap. When Dongshik asked for help, Theo reached into his bag and pulled out a single, glowing green onion. He claimed it was a special, detoxifying green onion, leaving the entire team staring in absolute disbelief. Dongshik didn't hesitate. He jammed that suspicious green onion straight into Suha's mouth. And somehow, miraculously, the poison vanished. Suha felt her body lighten instantly, like she'd lost 10 pounds of toxic weight. But before she could even catch her breath, Dongshik's brain suddenly exploded when he realized something. Theo claimed this was a new crop he was selling. The deadly tarantula poison on the 38th floor. But as Dongshik stared at Theo with pure ambition in his eyes, the poor cat had no idea he'd just become the key to tower domination. Dongshik's mind raced as he realized these onions could actually neutralize the deadly tarantula poison. He didn't hesitate, turning to Theo and shouting that he'd buy every single one of them. But before he could even finish the deal, a massive armored figure slammed into the ground, blocking his path. It was the Phoenix Guild, flanked by the Royal Knights and the Wizard Guild, all there to stop a monopoly. They argued that giving Dongshik preferential treatment was bad for business ethics and would ruin Theo's reputation. Checkmated by the crowd, Theo decided to hold a public auction for the onions and his magic tomatoes. Theo dumped out a massive basket of grade C magic cherry tomatoes, a level up that stunned everyone present. The wizards and knights were in disbelief, realizing the tomatoes had upgraded from grade D in less than a month. The bidding started instantly, with a competitor immediately shouting an offer of 350 tower coins. The prices skyrocketed in seconds, jumping from 370 to 400 coins as the desperation to raid the 38th floor took over. Dongshik watched in horror as the bids hit 600 coins, realizing his guild couldn't compete with the other major forces. Theo happily declared everything sold, leaving Dongshik with empty hands and a plan that had just crumbled. The cat-wandering merchant switches tactics, now auctioning detoxifying green onions in batches of 10. Dongshik's team gets caught in a bidding war that skyrockets past 130 tower coins. Theo's guild keeps raising the stakes, hitting 160 coins while Dongshik scrambles to compete. The cat merchant seals a deal with a smug sold as the bidding reaches 180 coins. Phoenix Guild celebrates their victory while Dongshik's team watches in defeated silence. Dongshik collapses to the ground as Phoenix Guild secures their precious green onions. Theo can't help but laugh at how his guild outmaneuvered the competition. His team apologizes for being blinded by those cherry tomatoes earlier. But Dongshik stays calm, saying the world won't end if they lag behind a bit. Later, Dongshik sits alone with a cat merchant under a peaceful tree. He asks if Sejun's family is really living in that place called Hanam-dong. The cat confirms the Korean Association is guarding them tightly, since Sejun is such a needed talent. Then drops the bombshell that Sejun specifically wants to reward Dongshik for protecting his family. The cat merchant drops a bombshell for Dongshik, delivering a reward from Sejun. 200 cherry tomatoes and 50 green onions, the crucial ingredient he's been desperate for. But the cute feline isn't done, leaning in with a sly grin to offer a secret item exclusively for Dongshik. Meanwhile, back at the farm, the Minotaurs are working at an incredible pace. In just a few days, the exterior is already complete, a testament to their monstrous strength. Even Kwang seems excited, trotting happily alongside Sejun as they approach their new home. But Sejun's plans for the interior are cut short when a certain giant bear decides to crash the inspection. After being told he's too big and might crush the house, Kwang's face crumples into pure heartbreak. Sejun quickly comforts his sad friend with a hug and a promise of honey, ensuring the good bear knows he's still loved. Poor Kwang broke down in tears, begging to be small enough to sleep inside with Dad. But that bottle of honey Sejun gave him, it wasn't just a treat, it was magic. The golden liquid sparked with energy, and suddenly the giant bear started to glow. Before Sejun could even process what was happening, a tiny red blur came charging at full speed. He hit the grass hard, his head flying off as the wind got knocked out of him. Looking up, he found a perfectly adorable, palm-sized bear cub cheering over him. Kwang had done it. He'd finally gotten small enough to fit through the door. Sejun couldn't believe his eyes. Kwang had shrunk back to the adorable palm-sized cub from their first meeting. But just as quickly, the tiny bear exploded back into a massive form, nearly knocking Sejun off his feet. Kwang explained that wanting to shrink had been suppressing his growth, a common issue for young monsters afraid of growing up. The massive bear suddenly shrank again, running to Sejun and clinging to his leg with tears in his eyes. He asked for a hug, just like the rabbits got, and Sejun realized this monster just wanted to feel love. With a warm smile, Sejun agreed to give Kwang a bed in the house, officially welcoming him as family. But then Kwang dropped a bombshell. He wanted to go inside the cave too, the one place Sejun kept strictly off limits. Sejun hesitated, imagining the chaos that could ensue if a bear started raiding his secret stash. Wait, hold up! What's this pile of golden tubers? Theo calls them Sweet Sun Pumpkin Potatoes, and Han Tae-jun's eyes go wide. These aren't just snacks, they boost flame resistance by 5 hours! This is Han Tae-jun, a living legend who broke through the 52nd floor first. But he hit a wall, fighting the flaming wild boar, guarding the waypoint. 3 days and nights of battle ended in a bloody draw. The boar's curse left him burning from the inside, needing constant magic to survive. Everyone thought the legend was done for good. But now, these potatoes can finally put that curse to sleep. The legend is officially returning to finish what he started. And check this, they even got detoxifying green onions for the 38th floor. Han Tae-jun thanks Theo, who secretly relieved his mistake won't be found out. Theo's plotting his crime is perfectly successful. Nya! Han Tae-jun meets up with his team, who are ready to descend. But when he reveals what they've got, jaws hit the forest floor. Detoxifying green onions and magic cherry tomatoes from the wandering merchant. His team can't believe he's climbing down right after scoring this loot. Han Tae-jun crunches a green onion and shouts, "Let's go!" The hunt begins now. While Han Tae-jun hunts for ingredients, the Phoenix Guild makes their move on a dangerous target. They're taking on the 38th floor boss, a massive spider monster that's been terrorizing the area. With coordinated strikes and magical support, the guild proves they're serious about clearing this floor. Meanwhile, on the 75th floor, our favorite sales cat Theo is having an absolutely perfect day. With his wolf employees in tow, he's treating them to a meal after making some serious coin. But then, Theo's instincts kick in. He senses something extraordinary nearby. He spots a glowing artifact on a stall, and his merchant instincts scream that this is a jackpot. But before he can claim it, a tiny hooded figure appears and demands the item for itself. Theo doesn't back down. He's been in this game long enough to know first dibs means something. But calling this mysterious creature a little thing was a huge mistake. One of the wolves recognizes the stuff immediately, and his face goes pale with terror. This isn't just any merchant, it's Iona, the legendary archmage of great destruction. The staff she's holding is the Staff of Calamity, a legendary artifact capable of reshaping the world. With a single wave, it can level mountains and turn rivers into seas. Theo just picked a fight with a disaster. Iona, the legendary archmage of great destruction, is not in the mood for games. She demands an apology, her exhaustion making her far more dangerous than usual. With a mere flick of her Staff of Calamity, she unleashes a torrent of destructive magic, ready to erase them from existence as a simple apology. But Elka, the Silver Wolf chieftain, screams a desperate truth to save her own skin. Theo isn't just a merchant, he's a subordinate of the Great Black Dragon. The attack halts instantly. Iona's expression shifts from fury to cold curiosity. A subordinate of the Black Dragon? That's a claim she needs to verify personally. She warns Elka that impersonating the Great Black Dragon is a crime punishable by death. One wrong word and the Wolf Chieftain is finished. To prove her story, Iona issues a simple demand. Take her to the Black Dragon immediately. She's not asking for a tour, she's demanding an audience. The kept merchant Theo is horrified. He just got stuck with a legendary archmage who wants a free ride to meet his boss. Elka realizes her bluff might have just gotten them all killed. Iona drops a bombshell that changes everything. She's not just any wolf, she serves the Great Black Dragon herself. Elka's face goes pale as she realizes she's been caught in a lie that could cost her tribe their lives. But instead of executing her, Iona smiles with genuine interest in this bold little hamster who won't back down. Iona shifts gears completely, revealing she's actually a wandering merchant who can buy anything for the Black Dragon. She can't help but gloat about finding such an easy mark who's willing to buy everything without question. The merchant's jaw drops as Iona casually demands 100 bottles, proving she's got serious coin to burn. Iona's shopping spree gets even stranger as she buys hats for Elka's son, completely ignoring the wolf chieftain's protests. Then she spots the perfect hat for our little hamster friend and practically forces it onto his head. The hamster's stuck with a wizard hat that's way too big, but at least he's got style now, though Iona's still waiting for payment. Iona's shopping spree hits a snag when the bill comes to 20 tower coins. But the cat merchant isn't about to pay full price, aggressively demanding a discount from the stunned seller. He haggles the price down to 17 coins, proving he's willing to squeeze every drop of value out of his allies. The cat thanks the hamster, claiming he only saved money because it was for the black dragon. The hamster finds this behavior incredibly suspicious, wondering why a powerful merchant would haggle over cheap items. When the cat reveals the black dragon is on the 99th floor, the hamster realizes the cat is hiding something major. Cut to the 38th floor, where a massive, multi-eyed beast is finally brought down by a team of adventurers. The Phoenix Guild stands victorious over the carcass, exhausted but triumphant after a brutal fight. They erupt in cheers, celebrating their successful raid and the clearing of the floor. But amidst the celebration, the guild leader spots something glowing nearby, a massive, mysterious blue crystal. Ignoring the loot, he rallies his team, eager to push forward to the 39th floor immediately. They march past the crystal, but that strange artifact feels like it's watching them, hinting at a trap. The vice chairman nearly chokes on his coffee, hearing Phoenix Guild cleared the 38th floor. They found a detoxifying green onion that boosted raiding speed, while Gagel's team can't even grow a cherry tomato. Board members are losing patience, and he desperately needs results to save his position. Just as he's about to give up, a researcher rushes in with something bizarre. The cherry tomatoes mutated into living monsters that scream when you cut them down. And the system treats them like actual enemies, awarding EXP points for each one defeated. The researcher explains these contaminated tomatoes reproduce and can be farmed for safe EXP grinding. Something clicks in the vice chairman's mind, and his expression shifts from desperation to pure greed. He orders every single existing crop destroyed to plant contaminated tomatoes instead. While the vice chairman makes his greedy move, Park Sejun's farm is experiencing a much cuter moment. The third poison honey queen bee cocoon finally cracks open, revealing an adorable little bee with long blonde hair. The system confirms Sejun's success. The newborn queen immediately recognizes him as her owner. Within moments, Sejun is surrounded by his new bee family, all flying around happily and bonding with their new master. With his new bee friends buzzing around, Sejun finally settles down for some well-deserved relaxation. He closes his eyes, hoping this peaceful farming life will continue forever. But that peace gets violently shattered when a black substance splatters all over his face. Baby Bear rushes over, excitedly showing Sejun a strange squid creature it found in the pond. Just as Sejun was settling into his peaceful farm life, Baby Bear rushes over with a strange discovery from the pond. The creature squirts black liquid and feels weirdly squishy. None of the rabbits have ever seen anything like it. But Sejun recognizes it immediately. It's a squid, and he knows exactly what to do with it. With practiced hands, Sejun slices the squid and throws it into a sizzling pan with spicy seasoning. Minutes later, he serves up a steaming plate of stir-fried squid that looks absolutely mouth-watering. The system chimes in. His cooking proficiency bumps up to level 2, and he's unlocked 3 new squid recipes. The whole family gathers around as the smell of spicy squid fills the air, making everyone's mouths water. Sejun digs into the stir-fry while the rabbits happily munch on grilled squid. It's been way too long since he's had a proper meal like this. As they eat, Sejun realizes the Sea of Dimensions might be hiding all sorts of delicious ingredients just waiting to be found. But there's one problem. To explore underwater, Sejun needs to teach Kwang how to dive first. He promises to start diving lessons after they finish clearing the fields, and the little bear is absolutely thrilled. With new recipes mastered and an adventure on the horizon, Sejun's farm life is about to get a whole lot more exciting. Just as the Wolf Clan and Cat Merchant thought they'd found a shortcut, a Black Panther blocked their path. Elka's subordinate burst in with terrifying news. Red Locust had appeared on the 69th floor. A mysterious hamster revealed these weren't just pests, but beings created to devour everything in the tower. But this tiny merchant had a secret weapon, a glowing gold badge that screamed power. Iona's eyes nearly popped out when she realized it was a Grand Merchant badge, the key to unlimited shortcuts. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Sejun stared in disbelief at his green onion field that had exploded into a 2,000 peong forest. He heard the sound of cutting everywhere, but when he looked around, nobody was there. The baby rabbits frantically explained that some onions had become impossible to cut with their tiny sickles. Sejun laughed it off until he grabbed one himself and sliced his finger open on the razor-sharp stalk. His crops weren't as growing fast anymore. They were evolving into something completely new and dangerous. Park Sejun barely touched the stalk, yet his finger split open like paper. The tower recognized the mutation immediately, granting him exclusive rights to this new weapon. These weren't vegetables anymore. The leaves had metallized into razor-sharp blades. Sejun swung the green onion like a sword, effortlessly slicing through the entire field. He realized he had just invented a crop that could be used anywhere, anytime. Suddenly, the tower manager's window popped up, begging for counseling instead of her usual business. Sejun was shocked to see the system interface literally crying tears of distress. She revealed that the dreaded red locusts had invaded the 67th floor of the tower. Aileen explained that while one is weak, the colony evolves rapidly as they consume everything. If Sejun didn't act fast, every living creature on that floor would be wiped out completely. Aileen's voice trembles as she warns that the locust will spread through every floor if they're not stopped. But the tower manager admits her hands are tied. She can't reach the 67th floor herself. Sejun doesn't hesitate. He declares this place his home now, and he won't let it fall. The mighty black dragon is reduced to tears by his simple, unwavering loyalty. But there's a problem. Sejun can't even leave the tower to reach the 67th floor. Just as he's panicking, Theo bursts back in with news of a guest. A tiny figure cloaked in black stands beside the cat, and Sejun has no idea what kind of trouble he's just walked into. The newcomer introduces itself as a hamster, bowing politely despite the absurdity of the situation. But then it drops a bombshell. It knows who Aileen really is. Sejun's world tilts on its axis. This tiny creature knows the tower manager's secrets, and that changes everything. A tiny hamster in a black cloak bows before Sejun, introducing herself as Iona, chief of the Magician Association. The tower manager's system message shocks Sejun. This small creature is here because of the red locust crisis on the 67th floor. Despite the high-stakes situation, Sejun treats her like any other guest, offering drinks while his rabbit family chatters around them. Iona makes her earnest request to the Great Black Dragon, but Sejun's casual demeanor leaves her completely confused. Iona questions why the legendary Black Dragon hasn't stepped forward to handle the locust problem herself. She can't reconcile this human-looking man with the fearsome dragon she expected, especially with these creatures calling him chairman and dad. His appearance screams recent human recruit, and she senses almost no power from him at all. But then, she notices something impossible. Undeniable traces of overwhelming magic energy flowing from certain areas around him. Confused and frustrated, Iona wonders who this mysterious figure really is. The moment Iona tastes the red liquid, her eyes widen in shock as intense energy bursts through her body. She can feel her mana surging, and the sweet, tasty juice is unlike anything she's ever experienced in the tower. Sejun casually explains it's just magic cherry tomato juice mixed with honey from poison bees, completely unaware of what he's just served. When a rabbit presents the magic cherry tomatoes, Iona's attention shifts completely from her original mission. She's never seen this item before and immediately starts asking about other mysterious crops Sejun might have. Sejun proudly lists his incredible harvests on pumpkins, agility carrots, stamina corn, and mentions peanuts are coming soon, leaving Iona more curious than ever about this strange farmer. Iona stares at the tomatoes, suddenly realizing Sejun isn't just farming, he's secretly caring for outcast monsters. She feels a deep pang of guilt, realizing she misjudged a man who sacrificed his own power to protect the weak. Overwhelmed by her own ignorance, she bows her head to apologize for her grave misunderstanding of the Black Dragon's grace. Sejun, completely missing the heavy emotional moment, cheerfully slams a glowing green onion on the table to help with the locust problem. It's a tough blade green onion, and its sharp glowing edge suggests it's far more than just a vegetable. He explains a brutal trick. Freeze a blade with blood in the snow, and starving wolves will lick it until their tongues cut. The cold numbs the pain, so they keep licking their own blood until they die, completely unaware of the trap. Sejun admits he read it in a book, but Iona immediately sees the potential for the red locusts. Since the locusts can't tell the difference between normal onions and the blade ones, they'll blindly rush to eat them. With the locusts weakened by their own wounds, they'll become easy prey, giving them a real chance to finally defend the waypoint. Park Sejun realizes he's accidentally created a massive misunderstanding about his genius-level strategy. But before he can explain, Iona decides to help by summoning the very pests they were discussing. With a wave of her staff, she pulls a swarm of captured red locusts right out of a dark portal. The rabbits scatter in terror as Sejun stares at the sky, realizing his test subjects have just arrived. He quickly asks what she intends to do with them, but he already has a plan in mind. Sejun plants his tough blade green onions in the dirt, setting the bait for the hungry swarm. He gives the order, and Iona releases the locusts, sending them buzzing straight toward the trap. The swarm dives instantly, ignoring everything else to focus entirely on the green stalks. Their mandibles snap against the tough blades, proving that Sejun's theory was dead on. They can't tell the difference between food and a weapon, and that mistake is exactly what will save them. The crops don't just survive, they fight back, slicing through the locusts like living blades. Park Sejun throws his hands up in victory, his theory proven dead on. The system recognizes his achievement. Killing pests with crops is now a legitimate farming feat. Then, the real kicker hits him. He can gain EXP points just by catching red locusts with his crops. Sejun grins, realizing he's just discovered a way to level up while literally doing nothing. Meanwhile, Kim Dong-sik has just raided the 38th floor, faster than anyone expected. He returns to his master with good news and a roasted sweet potato as a gift. Dong-sik announces that everyone is waiting for the hero's return. The master's eyes sharpen as he declares it's time to head to the tower. Kim Dong-sik's team is fighting for their lives on the 38th floor, but the swarm of red locusts just keeps coming. They are completely outnumbered and cornered, with the only way forward blocked by a sea of chittering monsters. Just as all hope seems lost, a massive shadow descends from the sky, demanding everyone to stand back. It's Iona, the hamster mage, who summons a colossal fireball to incinerate the entire horde in one go. The lizard soldiers are stunned into silence as they recognize their savior amidst the roaring flames. The explosion clears the path instantly, leaving nothing but a crater and a clear route to the waypoint. Buying them some time, Iona drops a bundle of Sejun's famous green onions, ordering them to plant these in front of the camp. Confused but desperate, the lizard soldiers scramble to follow the strange command while Iona hovers above. They stick the vegetables into the ground, wondering how a simple vegetable could possibly stop a monster swarm. The locusts return with a terrifying aura, charging straight for the camp without any hesitation. But the moment they touch the green onions, their bodies explode into black blood, unable to withstand the power. The team realizes the truth. These vegetables aren't just food, they are lethal weapons that kill the locust on contact. Just as the locusts were about to overwhelm everyone, a mysterious power descended from above. Iona revealed it was the Black Dragon's grace itself, giving the defenders a massive power boost. With magical energy swirling around them, the warriors charged forward with renewed determination. The tide of battle turned instantly as the allied forces drove the locusts back with incredible force. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Sejun was getting constant notifications about his crops defeating pests. He wondered if Kwang was handling the tough blade green onions properly. The little bear proved his strength by splitting the incredibly tough onion in half with ease. Sejun was relieved that Kwang could help propagate the onions for wider planting. Sejun remembered his deal with Iona to create a defense line using these powerful onions. He gathered his allies and handed out the tough blade green onions for the tower's protection. Iona accepted them gratefully, though he worried about proper monitoring to prevent abuse. They agreed to use Theo's merchant network to distribute the onions safely throughout the tower. Sejun nearly had a heart attack when he caught Kwang munching on the precious tough blade green onions. But then he realized something huge. Monsters actually find the red locust tasty, opening up a whole new market. So, he gave Elka the mission to deliver the onions down to the 67th floor, trusting the wolf chieftain with the job. Down on the 67th floor, the lizard men were already using dead locusts as food, but they were completely overwhelmed. The supply was way greater than what they could consume, and if left alone, the remaining locusts would just eat each other. That's why Sejun arranged for the Silver Wolf tribe to transport the corpses, turning a waste problem into a profit stream. Smart move on Sejun's part. He made sure the Silver Wolf tribe got a commission from the sales, creating a win-win for everyone. Back at the farm, Theo was already trying to slack off, complaining that his arm hurt after just 5 minutes of fanning. But the little cat stood his ground, claiming he did a great job selling those sweet sun pumpkin potatoes to Dongshik. Sejun wasn't buying it though, adding 30 more minutes to Theo's punishment while the poor intern cried and fanned away. Just as Theo was trying to distract him, the system chimed in with a familiar ping. Park Sejun had reached level 20, and the secret was simple. His crops were literally fighting back against the red locusts. But before he could celebrate too hard, Theo decided his face needed a massage too, whether Sejun liked it or not. A new job quest appeared. Harvest 1,000 crops for the sweet reward of level 21 and 50 tower coins. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the Crimson Giant Bear was having a very different kind of workout. Some tree monsters from the west had been invading his territory, but now they were just kindling. While Sejun was busy farming, Kwang was having the time of his life devouring spicy crops like there's no tomorrow. Sejun was so happy his tower manager status was showing, with his little rabbit crew working alongside him in the cornfield. But then he got some shocking news. His farming contributions had made him the #1 contributor to the 67th floor's locust eradication. Wait, there were rewards for killing invaders? He pulled up a carrot that was literally a grade C item. The carrot of agility that breaks down fat and boosts stat. This wasn't just food! This was a performance-enhancing vegetable that could make his crew work faster! The little rabbits were absolutely thrilled, ready to munch their way to increased agility and productivity. Just then, Theo the sales cat popped up with big plans. He was heading to the 88th floor to meet Elka, then the 38th floor. Sejun had to make sure the cat actually remembered to fetch crops correctly this time around. Theo was getting defensive, swearing he wouldn't make the same mistakes twice, but Sejun wasn't entirely convinced. With Theo finally on his way, Sejun turned his attention to the massive construction project behind him. Stepping inside, he was blown away by the craftsmanship. It was exactly how he had imagined it. The real game changer was the heated floor system, turning his cold tower life into absolute luxury. When Sejun asked about the blueprints, P.I.K. casually dropped that he used to build houses for wandering merchants. But the tour hit a snag when Pipik barged in on a private moment, forcing Sejun to frantically cover his kid's eyes. After the embarrassment settled, Sejun couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness, realizing he still needed a proper family. Just as he was moping, the ground shook again, and the crimson giant bear lumbered into the yard. The massive beast looked less aggressive this time, but his intense purple eyes suggested serious business. He dropped a huge tree stump at Sejun's feet and complained that the area around the farm was a total mess. The crimson giant bear actually dropped a massive tree stump at Sejun's feet as a peace offering. Pikit the sickle rabbit was thrilled, raising his glowing axe to trim the wood into furniture. Sejun decided to organize the area while the little ones eagerly demanded beds be made from the wood. But the moment Peak struck the trunk, a sinister red light flashed from inside the wood. The stump wasn't just wood, it was a monster with glowing red eyes and a gaping maw. Thick tentacles shot out and snatched Peak right off the ground, leaving Sejun frozen in horror. Before the monster could do any real damage, Kwang roared and lunged into the fray. He slammed his massive paw into the tree's face, trying to crush the glowing eyes. The beast's eyes began to glow with a terrifying blue energy, signaling a serious power-up. But the tree monster fought back, wrapping its roots around Kwang's neck in a deadly chokehold. Panic set in as Sejun screamed for Eileen, desperate for a way out. The tower manager cut through the chaos with a simple objective: eliminate the carnivorous fruit. It wasn't about killing the whole tree, just the heart pulsing deep inside its trunk. The tree tightened its grip, but Sejun ordered Kwang to shrink, breaking the chokehold instantly. With the path clear, Sejun charged like a bull, ignoring the danger to strike the glowing red heart. He buried his blade deep into the pulsing fruit, severing the monster's lifeline in one brutal motion. The massive trunk crumbled into dust, leaving Sejun standing in silence as the dust settled. A system message confirmed the kill, but the monster's dying words about everything lingered in his mind. Before he could process it, Kwang pointed toward the tree line, revealing a nightmare unfolding in the distance. The forest wasn't empty. Dozens of smaller tree monsters rose from the ground, their eyes glowing red. They screamed intruders in unison, realizing too late that they had just declared war on the entire ecosystem. He didn't have a dragon or an army backing him up this time, just his farming tools and pure stubbornness. The forest floor erupted as dozens of twisted tree monsters rose to surround the farm. Park Sejun and the Crimson Giant Bear locked eyes with the horde, realizing they were completely outnumbered. Sejun didn't hesitate. He ordered his rabbits to summon every fighter they had, including the legendary Black Rabbit. The Crimson Giant Bear roared and launched himself skyward, becoming a red blur of pure destruction. He crashed down into the center of the enemy formation, sending tree monsters flying in every direction. With brutal efficiency, the bear tore through the horde, proving that size and fury were a deadly combination. Park Sejun charged into the fray, his weapon flashing as he shouted war cries to match the chaos. He sliced through the wooden limbs of the invaders, but for everyone he cut down, two more seemed to appear. Sejun paused, bewildered by the endless swarm, wondering where these creatures had come from in the first place. Just as the situation looked hopeless, a familiar voice called out, Black Rabbit had arrived to save the day. The Black Warrior Rabbit declared his presence with a glowing blade, ready to prove his worth as a true fighter. He unleashed a devastating drill attack, carving through the tree monsters with terrifying speed and precision. Park Sejun stared in absolute awe, shouting that Black Rabbit was the coolest warrior he had ever seen. Black Rabbit responded with a cool wink and salute, clearly enjoying the spotlight of his own heroic moment. That drill attack was absolutely devastating. Black Rabbit just shredded those tree monsters like paper. But the real heroes were the rabbit family, who grabbed their shovels and hoes to yell at the invaders. The whole farm became a chaotic battlefield as rabbits, bees, and tree monsters all clashed together. Park Sejun finally arrived with his sickle, cutting down tree monsters while encouraging everyone to hang on. But Black Rabbit screamed a warning. Something huge was coming up behind Sejun. A corrupted ant, some massive tree boss with glowing red eyes, erupted from the forest with terrifying power. Sejun realized they were completely outmatched and yelled for everyone to run for their lives. Just when all hope seemed lost, the crimson giant bear came charging in like a red blur. The bear slammed into the corrupted ant with such force that the ground shook from the impact. The crimson bear roared with protective fury, declaring no one messes with her dad. But Sejun knew they were doomed. Kwang's mom was gone, and the Minotaur king was too far away. As the glowing red eyes of the ants stared back, panic seized him. What could he possibly do? Suddenly, a massive figure burst through the trees. It was the Minotaur king himself. Ox 3 and Ox 4 charged alongside him, smashing through the corrupted trees with pure power. The red bear joined the fray, screaming that no one touches Sejun's fields on her watch. Sejun asked how they knew to come, and a system message revealed the truth. Aileen had sensed the threat from miles away and personally summoned both the Minotaur King and Red Bear. She told him to trust her, and Sejun's face lit up with pure relief. Aileen! With his entire army assembled, Sejun shouted orders to protect the fields at all costs. Then he dropped the ultimate motivation. Once this was over, he'd cook them all extremely delicious food. The Minotaur and Bear's eyes widened at the promise. With a battle cry, Sejun led the charge. The Crimson Giant Bear roared, charging forward with one simple demand. Food! Sejun didn't hesitate. He pointed his weapon and screamed charge at the top of his lungs. His entire ragtag army, Minotaurs, bears, and rabbits alike, rushed forward in a chaotic, hungry stampede. Meanwhile, on the 67th floor, things looked bleak. This was Lazar's dense forest, but you'd never know it. Elka and Theo stood atop a rocky ridge, staring out at a wasteland of dead trees and scorched earth. Elka explained that wherever the red locust passed, nothing survived, not a single blade of grass remained. Theo spotted lizardmen helping the wolves clean up the ruins for free, and his merchant brain immediately went into overdrive. When Elka said she wasn't getting paid, Theo exploded. Are you a pushover, NYA? He had a brilliant, terrible idea. I'm going to get us money, nya, he declared, storming off toward the lizardmen camp. The lizardmen gods tried to stop him, but Theo wasn't having it. He demanded to see their leader immediately. When they said Iona was busy, Theo dropped his trump card. Iona and I have a really important relationship. Yeah. Elka watched in absolute horror as this little cat, Brat, tried to con his way into meeting one of the most dangerous archmages in the tower. Elka's blood ran cold as Theo started screaming about his important relationship with Iona. The wolf chieftain was sweating bullets, wondering what disaster this cat was about to unleash. But Theo's logic was airtight in his own mind. Sejun's underling, Iona bowed to Sejun, therefore, they're besties. The little hamster in the hood was screaming internally, begging Theo to stop digging this grave. Theo burst right into the middle of a high-stakes war meeting with the Lizardmen tribe. These warriors were literally planning their defense against the next Red Locust invasion. Instead of apologizing, Theo demanded to know why they weren't paying the Wolf Clan for cleaning up ruins. He claimed the original contract only covered Locust corpses, not this extra cleanup work. Toro, the Lizardman chief, nervously explained they were always on the battlefield, leaving only the elderly to clean up. So, they'd hired help, which Theo immediately declared was an unfair contract requiring compensation. Theo demanded 1 tower coin per wolf, totaling 100 coins, claiming they were Sejun's underling. Toro absolutely lost it, slamming his fist on the table and calling Theo a corrupt merchant. Just as violence was about to erupt, the hamster screamed the truth. Theo was the Great Black Dragon's underling. The Lizardman and hamster immediately jumped in, declaring that without Theo's intervention, their entire tribe would have been destroyed. Toro's fist trembled as he realized the truth. This orange cat truly was connected to the Great Black Dragon, and violence would mean war. With a triumphant cackle, Theo collected his 100 tower coins, humming a cheerful tune as the wolf tribe watched in stunned silence. But here's where it gets interesting. Elka, the wolf chieftain, actually handed over her own money, telling Theo to never act like a pushover. Theo basked in the praise, puffing his chest as he reminded everyone that insulting him meant insulting the Black Dragon himself. Behind the scenes, Iona knew this wouldn't end well for Theo personally, but she didn't care. What mattered was who stood behind him. Iona's mind raced with possibilities. Park Sejun's name alone commanded authority throughout the tower, and rumors of his underling would spread like wildfire. She knew the tower was corrupted, and food was the only authority powerful enough to control it, so they'd let the story of Theo grow and exaggerate itself. As Theo walked away, Iona whispered the truth. Rumors, birth rumors, and soon everyone would believe this wandering cat merchant was truly unstoppable. While Iona was weaving her web of lies, Park Sejun was busy leveling up. By sleeping. He woke up to a system notification, level 22. He had no idea he'd gained a bonus stat just by napping. Looking at the battlefield, he joked that it felt like they lumbered down a mountain, completely unaware of the real danger. A surprise attack from corrupted Ents had just been crushed by an unlikely alliance. Even the little red bear cub got in on the action, knocking out tree monsters for his dad and earning Sejun's gratitude. The Crimson Giant Bear confirmed these monsters were from the Western Forest, infiltrating deeper than ever before. He promised to send poison bees to help patrol, but Sejun was too busy wondering why the Ents were here at all. A system message dropped a bombshell. The tower manager classified these corrupted Ents as a virus. Aileen explained they corrupt any powerful tree they find, which is why all the strong trees on the 99th floor were already contaminated. Sejun finally connected the dots. The Ents weren't here randomly. They were hunting his cherry tomatoes and corn plants. The realization hit him, but his stomach growled louder, reminding him that even farmers need to eat after a fight. Chaos erupted instantly as Sejun screamed for everyone to calm down and rush her into the house before it was too late. The door slammed shut, sealing the wolf chieftain inside just as the archmage's shadow fell. Outside, the Minotaur King and Crimson Giant Bear pressed their faces against the slats, eyes wide with panic. They formed a living wall of horns and fur, terrified that their precious farm would be destroyed by the tower's wrath. But the tension didn't last because in the center of the chaos, the third generation of rabbits had finally arrived. Sejun cradled the tiny sleeping bundles, surrounded by a family of monsters who watched the miracle with awe. A massive flame boar looms over an old warrior, laughing that it thought he died from its curse years ago. But the warrior stands tall, revealing he had a nice vacation thanks to the curse, and the boar has been enjoying its life with just one eye open. The beast snickers, asking how much he's eaten, and claiming it can smell barbecue from all the way away. That's the last straw. The boar explodes with rage, promising to make the warrior regret ever showing his face again. Fire and lightning crash down, but the warrior doesn't even flinch. He scoffs, saying those kinds of tricks won't work anymore. The impact shatters the ground beneath them, yet he stands firm. Because he has the ultimate trump card, the sweet sun pumpkin potato from Sejun's farm. With a mighty yell, he powers up, flames erupting around him as he prepares to settle this score once and for all. That sweet sun pumpkin potato isn't just fertilizer, it's pure combat fuel. Husband Rabbit's body erupts in golden flames as he channels the farm's ultimate weapon. The crimson giant bear freezes in absolute confusion. How is this tiny rabbit suddenly radiating power that makes his own strength look pathetic? Husband Rabbit doesn't hesitate. He launches forward with a punch that screams pure agricultural justice, his eyes locked on victory. The impact is catastrophic! The bear's massive form crumples under the force, screaming in disbelief as his own flames get swallowed by Husband Rabbit's superior power. But Husband Rabbit's not done yet. A tidal wave of golden fire erupts behind him, turning the entire battlefield into a blazing inferno of farm-fresh destruction. He charges through the flames like a living comet, every step shaking the ground as the crimson giant bear realizes he's about to lose everything. The bear's final roar gets cut short as he gets launched skyward, his massive body becoming a burning projectile against the sky. Husband Rabbit stands victorious in the flames, but that's when he notices something strange in the smoke. The bear's dropping something that looks suspiciously like a black tower key. Park Sejun gulps down the last drop of red locust soup, sweat pouring from his body as the combat food kicks in. For the first time in 8 months, he's tasted something resembling chicken, and he devoured the entire bowl without hesitation. But as the satisfaction fades, a nagging thought creeps in. Why does he feel like he's forgotten something absolutely critical? Suddenly, a system notification slams into him. The tower manager is asking if he's finally thought of her. Aileen appears in his crystal ball with that dangerous smirk, asking if he was eating so well without her. She reminds him she warned about the Ents arriving, and even rewarded him for exterminating the red locusts. Sejun's blood runs cold as he realizes the soup he just ate was her reward. He's in catastrophic trouble. Panic mode activated. Sejun blurts out that it's a misunderstanding and he was making special soup just for her. Aileen freezes, her crystal ball glowing as she processes this unexpected turn of events. Sejun doubles down, claiming he tested this version to detoxify the poison while improving the taste, all while thinking of her. The black dragon's expression shifts from suspicion to something dangerously close to flustered delight. Sejun seizes the opening, promising to whip up a fresh batch in no time. Aileen giggles and agrees to wait, settling in with her crystal ball like a devoted audience. But then, the system notification drops the real bomb. She'll be watching over him with her eyes wide open. Sejun just realized he traded one disaster for another. Now, he has to cook under the tower manager's unblinking, possessive gaze. With Aileen's eyes burning a hole through his back, Park Sejun realizes one mistake means instant disaster. He chops, stirs, and tastes, finally declaring the red locust cherry tomato soup a success. The system confirms his achievement, unlocking a combat food recipe that boosts strength and satiation. Sejun proudly adds cherry tomatoes instead of potatoes, specifically tailoring the flavor for Aileen's palate. Just as he offers a single bowl, the tower manager demands the entire pot be packed up immediately. Aileen takes a single sip and her eyes widen as the flavor explodes across her senses. She declares it the most delicious thing she has ever eaten, her heart pounding from the mana surge. But as her strength skyrockets, her dragon heart races out of control, leaving her wondering what to do next. Sejun calls out to the black dragon, asking if she's finally feeling better after that deadly soup. She actually apologizes for losing her temper, admitting she just felt neglected by him. Hearing his gratitude, Eileen's heart races as she realizes how much she actually cares for this farmer. To smooth things over, Sejun offers her some dried sweet potatoes, which instantly triggers a brand new quest. Eileen reveals she used her own power to gift him a reward for his past contributions to the tower. The system announces that his landowner talent has been awakened, a rare skill for farming tycoons. This talent lets him designate up to 30 tenant farmers to work his land and share rewards. He immediately calls over Kwang and designates the little bear as his very first tenant farmer. When asked to fetch 100 tomatoes, Kwang blasts the vines with energy, harvesting them all in a split second. That instant, Sejun realizes the true genius of his landowner skill. Even if he doesn't lift a finger, he gains a percentage of the EXP his tenants earn. He was drowning in work because the fields kept expanding, but now he has a cheat code to level up while he sleeps. He immediately orders the rabbits to expand the land further. When the little black rabbit complains about being full, Sejun doesn't hesitate. He slaps the tenant farmer designation on the lazy creature, forcing it to work for its food. With his new workforce ready, Sejun leads the charge into the lush tomato fields to begin the expansion. But the ground doesn't just break, it erupts. A massive horde of dark, clawed monsters with glowing red eyes swarms out of the soil. The cheerful farming trip turns into a massacre in seconds. These aren't just pests, they are an army, and they are hungry for more than just tomatoes. The bear was thrilled by the idea, and Sejun finally felt like he had a real defense system in place. The Crimson Giant Bear proudly announces she's wiped out the intruders, but Sejun isn't celebrating. He looks at his devastated farm, wondering when he'll ever clean up this absolute disaster. But wait, those dead spider things are still twitching, and one screams that it's here! Sejun realizes with horror that these monsters aren't just dead, they're still trying to corrupt something. He frantically searches for the tree these creatures are trying to corrupt, but where could it be? Meanwhile, on the 52nd floor, a muscular old man confronts a cat about reaching this high level. The cat warns him about a dimensional fragment fruit. It's illegal and packed with dangerous energy. But the old man reveals he's been hiding something even bigger, a green Lingen creature. Despite holding illegal items, he refuses to use them, claiming he doesn't want to break the rules. But Dongshik wasn't about to break the rules until a massive plant monster erupted from the ground. Theo went flying as the beast lunged, and Dongshik launched into action with a devastating kick. The old man moved like lightning, his power overwhelming as he sent Theo spiraling through the air. Poor Theo was completely outmatched, realizing too late that he'd messed with someone way out of his league. After the dust settled, Dongshik reunited with his student at the Phoenix Guild campsite on the 38th floor. He casually mentioned defeating a wild boar with a sweet sun pumpkin potato and befriending Theo on the 52nd floor. His student nearly had a heart attack when he learned Dongshik used Lingens, those rare teleportation items. But Dongshik dropped a bombshell. He'd used them to check floors 40 through 52, searching for something specific. Every local he questioned confirmed the same thing. No human outside the tower had ever visited those floors except him. That's when Dongshik turned to Theo with an intense glare and demanded to know where Park Sejun was right now. The cat froze, sweat pouring down his face as the old man's pressure crushed him with undeniable truth. Theo's mind raced. He was in massive trouble because Dongshik had just proven he was the only human in that entire section of the tower. His lies were completely exposed, and now he had to face the consequences of hiding the farmer's location from someone who clearly knew what he was doing. Just when things were tense elsewhere, Park Sejun was having a fantastic day in his tomato patch. Thanks to his harvest skill leveling up, he suddenly started pulling out B-grade magic tomatoes instead of the usual C-grade. But that good mood was cut short by a weird chill in the air. He looked towards the cave and felt something was off. He rushed to his campfire and found the unthinkable. The bonfire, which had burned non-stop since he arrived, was completely out. As he went to clear the ashes, a tiny green sprout shot up from the ground right in front of him. Before he could even process it, a cheerful voice echoed directly in his mind, calling him Master! The sprout introduced itself, revealing it had been waiting for him to finally notice it from beneath the earth. That tiny sprout wasn't just growing, it was waiting, and now it's finally speaking up with a name, Flame. She's the apple seed Sejun planted, and she's been patient as a tree while he's been busy doing, well, whatever he does. Sejun's jaw hits the floor as he realizes this adorable girl with red hair and leafy accessories is literally his crop. All that confusion about talking to a tree. Turns out he was right all along, just not in the way he expected. This tiny sprout girl is absolutely beaming with joy, calling this the happiest moment since she gained consciousness. She explains she's a flaming red apple tree, transmitting thoughts directly into Sejun's head through magic. Sejun panics and stammers that she's cute, while the rabbits nearby are completely smitten with their new family member. Then it hit him. Was that washed apple he ate back then actually some legendary fruit? Flame shares her incredible journey. When she was just a seed, she felt intense heat and had to root herself to survive. Her roots kept growing deeper and deeper into the darkness, endlessly downward, until she lost track of where it ended. But she discovered cold underground water and drank it to withstand that burning heat, keeping herself alive through sheer will. She waited in that darkness for the day she could receive sunlight and bloom into a new sprout. And now that she's met Master Sejun, Flame says she has no more regrets about her long struggle. Sejun feels terrible realizing he planted an apple seed and set up a bonfire right on top of her. But Flame says it made her strong. She demonstrates her new ability, summoning flames from her leaves and proving she can wield fire magic now. Sejun's jaw drops as he realizes this adorable sprout can actually control fire, which changes everything for his farm's defense. Flame beams with pride, proving she's no ordinary plant. She's a flaming red apple tree. Sejun can't help but call her his cute maknae, patting her head with genuine warmth. As they sit by the fire, Flame begs for more pets, and Sejun happily obliges, spoiling her rotten. But while Sejun spoils her, Flame's roots are quietly expanding deep below, tapping into something mysterious. Glowing crystals and strange creatures surround her massive underground network. She's hiding a huge secret. Flame winks and shushes us, promising to keep her true power hidden from her master, for now. Meanwhile, on the 39th floor, a muscular elder hunter corners Theo, demanding to know where Park Sejun is. Theo sweats and stammers, refusing to spill the beans. He's sworn to protect Sejun's location. But the hunter drops a bombshell. Sejun isn't just some tower dweller, he's a global celebrity on Earth, and people are desperate to find him. So, this muscular elder hunter, Han Taijun, is literally begging the cat for info on Sejun's location. But Theo's got conditions. He forces them to sign a magical contract, swearing to keep everything secret on pain of death. Both hunters sign the binding agreement, their honor as hunters now magically sealed to protect Sejun's whereabouts. Finally, with the contract complete, Han Taejun demands to know where Sejun is right now. Theo drops the bomb. Sejun isn't even on the 40th floor anymore, which is exactly what Sejun told him to say. Here's the kicker. Sejun is trapped somewhere so high up in the tower that humans can't even imagine it, let alone reach it. And he can't get down. He's completely cut off from the rest of the tower. The hunters stare in stunned horror as the reality sinks in. Theo waves goodbye, leaving the hunters to process this mind-bending revelation. Dongshik can't wrap his head around it. Sejun is supposedly farming crops on some unreachable floor while being held captive by monsters. But Han Tae-jun knows it's all true, and that realization hits him like a freight train. Han Tae-jun connects the dots, realizing the sweet sun pumpkin only grows where the sun hits the highest. Dongshik freezes as the terrifying truth hits him. The tower's peak isn't just a theory. It means Park Sejun isn't lost on the 60th floor. He's currently surviving on the 99th. Meanwhile, in Granah village, Israel worries about the food shortage caused by the war on the 67th floor. But his son Oren is too busy cuddling with a white cat to care about the economy. Israel snaps, threatening to disown the spoiled brat unless he runs to the merchant district immediately. Oren storms out, fuming about his old man, and demands anyone nearby follow him to find a potter. A hooded figure steps out of the shadows, revealing themselves as the elusive cat wandering merchant. The merchant's red eye gleams with a predatory smile, ready to make a deal with the desperate heir. Oren storms into the market, furious at the sky-high food prices. He realizes the only way to beat the hoarders is to cut out the middlemen entirely. With a cocky grin, he declares he'll turn 1,000 coins into 10,000 with his merchant skills. Just as Oren rallies his crew, a mysterious goblin steps out of the shadows. Scarum, a wandering merchant, offers Oren a chance to multiply his money with something special. He hints at rare items from outside the tower, things no one else can get. Meanwhile, Theo is busy shopping for nails and other supplies Sejun needs for the farm. Suddenly, he freezes. There's Oren, the spoiled heir who fled Granah village. Oren smirks, revealing he's now a mid-class wandering merchant thanks to a goblin's help. Theo's ears perk up when he hears Oren got help from a goblin, but his mood sours instantly when he realizes Oren bought from Scarum. Oren snaps back, accusing Theo of being ungrateful for lying to the Passage Management Bureau just to steal Scarum's outside items. The argument takes a personal turn when Oren brings up Meryl, revealing she dumped him the day Theo left Granah village. Oren declares his grand plan to sell outside items to the Minotaur king of the 99th floor, aiming to make the strongest tower dweller his supporter. Oren struts away with his entourage, convinced his talent will make him a great merchant, leaving Theo in his dust. The mood shifts dramatically as we see a massive army of shadow monsters and terrifying tree-like creatures gathering in the plains. The Crimson Giant Bear and its cub stand, ready to face this overwhelming force, their glowing eyes reflecting the danger ahead. Park Sejun arrives at the scene, taking in the scale of the threat as he prepares to deal with this new invasion. Sejun's eyes widen as he realizes the Shadow Army isn't here for him. They're after Flame. With a bowl of soup in hand, he declares that anyone touching his farm is dead. He downs some red locust soup, and the system confirms a sweet strength boost for the next half hour. With the Crimson Bear and his rapid crew at his side, Sejun screams for a full-scale charge. The Crimson Bear roars, smashing into the corrupted trees with terrifying force. Sejun and P-Cake fight back-to-back, their blades carving through the horde of dark monsters. Just as things get desperate, Theo the cat wandering merchant dives in, yelling he won't tolerate this nonsense. The little cat unleashes a blinding slash that cuts down a dozen enemies in one move. Panting, Theo reveals these are corrupted trees and drops a bombshell about a secret apple tree inside their cave. Before Sejun can process it, a tree monster ambushes him, but Theo's reflexes are faster, blocking the strike. Park Sejun tells Theo to clear out these corrupted tree bastards first, before any explanations. The little cat moves like lightning, slicing through enemies with blinding speed. Sejun tosses Theo something to help, but the real surprise comes from the cat himself. Theo reveals he found a hatchet, that practically dragged his paws onto it. Something's definitely special about this weapon. Sejun immediately calls out to Eileen, knowing the tower manager is the only one who can reveal what this hatchet really is. Eileen responds instantly, channeling her appraisal skill through a burst of magical energy. The system chimes. Sejun's quest is complete, and he's about to get his reward. The hatchet transforms in his hand, gleaming with power that wasn't there before. He's just acquired a named item. Eileen's reward arrives in the form of Great Warrior Wooka's Throwing Hatchet, an A-grade weapon forged by dwarves. Sejun examines the blade, realizing it comes with 2 game-changing skills, wood splitting and retreat. With a black rabbit attacking his farm, Sejun has no choice but to test this legendary weapon in combat. Sejun hurls the hatchet with everything he's got, watching it spiral through the air toward the massive ant. The wood-splitting skill activates instantly, and the blade slices through the corrupted wood like butter. The ant splits cleanly in half, its massive body crashing down as the system confirms Sejun's first kill. The crimson giant bear freezes in absolute shock, unable to believe a farmer just one-shotted an ant. Its cub cheers wildly, declaring that Sejun is no longer the weakling who runs away from danger. Inspired by Sejun's display, Kwon charges into battle, feeling unstoppable as he tears through the remaining ants. Amid the chaos, Sejun can't help but gush over Theo, completely forgetting they're in the middle of a battle. But with more ants closing in, Sejun remembers the retrieve skill and calls his weapon back. The hatchet zooms back to his hand just as another ant lunges, and Sejun's ready to fight back. With his hatchet back in hand, Park Sejun plants his feet and stares down the remaining ants. He screams that he'll show them the true power of a tower farmer, and Theo echoes his battle cry. Seoscat Theo leaps forward with a roar as Sejun charges, and together they tear through the last of the monsters. The battle ends, leaving Minotaurs to sweep up the shattered remains of the ant army. Park Sejun splashes water on his face, trying to wash away the adrenaline and exhaustion from fighting all night. His entire body screams in pain as he collapses onto a rock, but he can't stop smiling. He calls up his status window and realizes he hit level 25, unlocking 2 new talents and 7 total skills. The easygoing criminal can't believe how far he's come, flexing in front of his own reflection. He's so proud of himself, he jokes about wanting to kiss Park Sejun right then and there. Just as Sejun's celebrating, Eileen's voice suddenly glitches through his system window with a strange noise. She screams in pain, and Sejun panics, asking what's wrong with the tower manager. The system reports an error in the status window itself, and Eileen dismisses it as nothing, but something's definitely off. That system error with Eileen had Sejun genuinely worried for a moment. But then the cat-wandering merchant showed up and immediately started poking Flame, who accidentally shot fire right at his face. Turns out Flame's fire was perfect for grilling fish. Theo was absolutely thrilled with his snack. Sejun had to step in and tell Theo to stop bullying the poor plant spirit, even though Theo insisted Flame grilled the fish willingly. Just then, Sejun's growth promoter skill cooldown finally ended. He decided to use it on Flame, planning to only spend half the usual mana since she's not a regular crop. But the system went wild, announcing Flame's growth potential was enormous and consuming the power of 10 crops instead. Sejun felt his entire mana pool being sucked dry as the skill drained him completely. He collapsed right there on the ground, leaving Theo and Flame panicking about what went wrong. Flame worried that using her power caused his exhaustion, but Sejun blamed it on fighting those ants earlier. Then Flame offered to relieve some of his exhaustion, which caught Sejun completely off guard. She started glowing with a mysterious blue energy, and Sejun had no idea what she was about to do to him. Flame's blue energy erupted between Sejun's legs, and he had no idea what was about to hit him. Instead of pain, Sejun felt lighter than air, his exhaustion completely burned away by the white flame. The flame of purification had done its job, cleansing impurities and boosting his body condition for 3 hours. But Flame wasn't done. She revealed her second ability, the Flame of Friendship, letting Sejun control and enhance fire himself. Sejun was already planning how to use his new fire powers against the Ents, but Theo wouldn't let him zone out. The cat merchant dropped a bomb. Han Tae-jun had discovered Sejun wasn't actually staying on the 40th floor. Sejun's blood ran cold. His cover was blown, and now someone dangerous knew exactly where he was hiding. The cat merchant Theo drops a bombshell. Han Tae-jun, the strongest hunter in Korea, knows exactly where Sejun is hiding. But Theo's real reason for being here is personal revenge against Oren, the rival merchant who tricked him and stole his girlfriend. When Theo reveals Oren is heading straight for the Minotaur King on the 99th floor, Sejun's panic turns into a wickedly brilliant idea. Meanwhile, Oren and his crew finally stumble onto the 99th floor, only to find a scorching desert with absolutely nothing to sell. After blowing all their money on Scarum's junk and alcohol, they realize they have no food or water and are about to starve to death. When they discover it's still a 3-day walk to the Minotaur King, Oren's arrogance shatters as he realizes they are completely doomed. Just as Oren's crew faced certain death, salvation appeared in the form of 2 fluffy rabbits pushing a wheelbarrow of water bottles. The cats charged forward like zombies, screaming for water after days of dehydration in the scorching desert. But the price was half a tower coin per bottle, and the rabbits pointed to a nearby skeleton as proof of how desperate things were. One of the rabbits recognized them as the Minotaur King's wandering merchants, and Oren immediately seized the opportunity to bluff his way through. The rabbits offered credit, but with a 10 times penalty if payment wasn't made within 3 days, which Oren dismissed as standard business practice. Confident they'd sell their goods and pay before the deadline, Oren laughed at the idea of paying with his body and grabbed all the water. The crew drank their fill and marched off, promising to return in 3 days with payment, completely unaware they'd just signed their death warrant. But drinking water on an empty stomach only made them hungrier, and they consumed their entire supply in just 1 day. When a subordinate tried to save the last bottle, Oren snatched it away, prioritizing his own survival over his crew's well-being. As Oren gulped down the final bottle, his crew watched in horror, realizing their leader would sacrifice anyone to stay alive. But then, Oren's nose twitched. That wasn't just any smell, it was grilled fish, and it was calling his name. The price hit him like a slap. 1 tower coin per fish? That's impossible for starving cats with empty pockets. But Oren didn't back down. He signed the debt contract without hesitation, demanding 10 fish and promising to pay tenfold if he defaulted. 10 golden sizzling fish arrived, and Oren's eyes went wide. This was the feast of a lifetime, and he wasn't going to waste a single bite. The flavor was incredible, perfectly grilled, tender, and savory. Oren couldn't stop eating, and neither could his crew. But they ate too much. Now they're sprawled out on the grass, completely incapacitated by a massive food coma, unable to move. Oren knew they had to sell their goods to the Minotaur King immediately to pay off that debt, but his crew was begging for a break. He tried to stay strong, but the food coma was too powerful. Just 1 hour of sleep, he told himself, but that decision might cost them everything. Oren stammered a yes, clutching his package and claiming he had rare items from outside the tower. Oren wakes up from his food coma and freezes, realizing the terrifying black dragon is standing right in front of him. Park Sejun, terrified but acting cool, doubles down on the lie, claiming he is the great black dragon with the power to appraise magic. Oren sees this as the ultimate jackpot, believing that if he sells to the tower's ruler, he'll surpass the Minotaur King himself. He frantically dumps his entire inventory on the ground, hoping to impress the dragon with his wares. Sejun looks at the items and realizes they are just normal earth products, not magic at all. Oren tries to sell a simple lint roller, claiming it has adhesive magic to remove dust, and asks for 50 tower coins. His crew is shocked because Oren bought this trash for 5 coins and just marked it up 10 times. Sejun loses his patience, ripping the roller apart and screaming that there isn't a single magic item in the pile. He slaps Oren across the face, silencing the cat, who tries to argue that the dragon must be mistaken. Suddenly, the ground shakes as the Minotaur King slams his foot down, crushing the ground near Oren. The massive beast roars in anger, demanding to know how Oren dares to call the great black dragon a liar. The Minotaur King stands protectively behind Sejun, radiating an aura that nearly knocks Oren unconscious. Terrified, Oren drops to his knees and begs for forgiveness, admitting that everything the dragon said was true. Oren's already on his knees, begging the great black dragon for mercy. But Sejun drops a bombshell. He owns the shops where Oren bought all those supplies. Turns out that debt adds up to 100,000 bricks, calculated by Sejun's adorable rabbit accountants. The Minotaur King suggests Oren pay with his body, which means actual backbreaking labor. Suddenly, we've got an entire army of Minotaurs making mud bricks at record speed. Sejun stands tall, presenting the contract that binds Oren to this brick-making nightmare. Oren realizes these are giant bricks, and they can only make 10 per day. That's 10,000 days of labor, or basically forever, which sends the cats into full panic mode. Desperate, Oren begs for anything but the bricks, promising to do literally anything else. But Sejun, being the generous boss he is, decides to give them a real chance. He needs someone to run his distribution unit, carrying goods and selling them throughout the tower. Sejun offers them a lifeline, 10,000 days as farm interns instead of brickmaking hell. Oren and his crew jump at the chance, desperate to escape their grim fate. They don't even care if their boss is a demon, they'll sign anything for food. The contract is sealed, but now Sejun needs to introduce them to their actual supervisor. Enter Theo, Sejun's little cat companion, now promoted to head of distribution. Oren recognizes him immediately as the midnight runaway beggar from his past. But Theo's not having it. He slaps Oren for showing no respect to his boss. He proudly declares himself the Black Dragon's first subordinate and their new commander. The terrified cats immediately bow, realizing they've landed under someone worse than a demon. Theo marches his new crew to the cherry tomato fields, ready to start harvesting for sale. Sejun watches with satisfaction. His distribution network is finally taking shape. But there's more help arriving. The Minotaur King himself shows up to assist. Turns out the Black Dragon sent him orders through the status window to follow Sejun's lead. The mighty king even gets emotional about neighborly cooperation, proving Sejun's influence is growing. The Minotaur King bolts off with his prize, thanking Sejun for the green onions and tomato trees. Sejun watches him go, wondering if he should have given him more back when they first met. Just then, a familiar voice cuts through the air. The cat-wandering merchant is berating his apprentices. He's furious they're harvesting unripe green tomatoes, destroying their value with every clumsy pick. Sejun watches from the sidelines, amused by the proverbs the merchant uses to shame his students. He forces the cats to sit and listen as he demonstrates the perfect technique for picking the fruit. After his lecture, the merchant throws his head back and laughs, declaring himself invincible. Theo's stuck in an eternal chain of command, subordinate to the Black Dragon, subordinate to Sejun, and now a forever slave. But his apprentice Oren zones out mid-harvest, earning a slap that has Theo screaming bloody murder. Then, the air fills with a terrifying growl as Wolf Chieftain Elka appears, her eyes glowing with predatory intensity. Theo's instant mood swing is priceless. suddenly bowing and scraping, claiming he was just brushing off a bug from her fur. The merchant rewards intern Mark and Jeff for their speed, cutting their contracts by a day each. Theo immediately seizes the chance for payback, announcing Oren gets an extra day of work for being the slowest. Sejun watches the chaos with amusement, suggesting the cats upgrade their bundles as they prove themselves. Then Sejun drops a bombshell. He's heading to the western forest alone, with zero concern for the danger. Theo's completely panicking, grabbing Sejun's face and demanding to know how he'll survive without protection. But the forest already has something waiting for him, the crimson giant bear, whose massive face looms with terrifying intent. So Sejun's not going alone. He's bringing Kwang and the crimson giant bear as backup. Theo's still freaking out, but Sejun's got that secret weapon he keeps hinting about. Even Wolf Chieftain Elka's watching from the sidelines, her eyes locked on this mission. With the bears ready to roll, Sejun's finally heading into the western forest. But the western forest? It's nothing like the peaceful farmland Sejun's used to. The trees look like they died screaming, and the air smells wrong. Even the crimson giant bear is on edge, sniffing the air for threats. Then the bear growls. The bear's right. Something's definitely out there, lurking in those twisted trees. Sejun looks around, but he can't see anything threatening. He's about to call the bear crazy when BAM! Something grabs him from below. Sejun, screaming as a final root thing, yanks him down into the forest floor. Sejun gets yanked underground, only to surface facing a nightmare of writhing corrupted tree monsters. The system identifies them as corrupted rotten guard ants tree zombies with zero chill. Even the crimson giant bear looks spooked, his cub whimpering as they realize these things are pure evil. Before anyone can react, the ants strike, wrapping thick vines around Kwang's mother and hoisting her into the air. Sejun realizes there's no time to hesitate. He has to act now or lose his ally forever. He tosses his hat aside, pulls out his axe and knife, and calls upon his secret weapon, the flame of friendship. The cub panics, screaming that Sejun's head is on fire, but it's actually a combat buff in action. This flame of friendship strengthens and controls even the smallest spark, turning Sejun's weapons into fire-infused instruments of destruction. With fire swirling around him and weapons blazing, Sejun charges forward to rescue Kwang's mother. The fire worked too well as the crimson giant bear and her cub scream in absolute terror. Sejun quickly realizes his mistake, yelling for them to retreat before they get swept up in the blaze. But the fire is spreading faster than he thought, turning their escape route into a deadly inferno. Their escape is cut short as a massive horde of twisted tree monsters blocks their path, roaring in the distance. Trapped between fire and monsters, Sejun hatches a desperate plan, shouting at the cub Kwang to get ready. He unleashes the flame of friendship again, but this time he's not aiming for the enemy. He throws the fire directly at Kwang, who is hit by the buff and begins to glow with terrifying power. The cub's eyes glow white as his body becomes a living missile, charged with explosive energy. With a final, earth-shattering blast, the tiny bear rocket obliterates the entire horde of monsters. That explosion didn't just clear the area, it leveled the entire western forest. Even the Minotaur King was left staring at the smoke, completely stunned by the sheer scale of the destruction. Back at the farm, the rabbits recognized the smoke immediately. It was the flame of friendship in action. And there he was, Park Sejun, walking out of the giant bear's legs, looking like he'd just run a marathon. He admitted it was reckless, but burning down the forest was the only way to stop those aggressive ants from invading every night. But the fire had a hidden side effect. The massive amount of bee activity from the scorched earth leveled up his beekeeping skill to level 4. That's when the Poison Queen bees themselves appeared, buzzing around him with a very specific request. They asked him to suggest flowers to make a special honey jelly, a reward for leveling up the skill. The queen bee explained it was a delicious treat, but the real kicker was its ability to actually enhance his talents. Sejun's eyes went wide, because if this jelly can boost his natural abilities, he's about to become a lot more than just a farmer. Aileen is absolutely living her best life, sipping that red locust cherry tomato soup while soaking in her bath. She's growing stronger every day, but she's still desperate to mature her dragon heart before the blue moon arrives. Suddenly, a mysterious glowing orb materializes, reminding her of the flame of friendship test Sejun was running. But that piece shatters instantly when a distorted, glitching scream tears through the air. Aileen collapses in absolute agony, her dragon heart failing and racking her body with unbearable pain. Desperate and dying, she can only whisper one name, calling out for Park Sejun to save her. The tower's emergency system immediately detects the crisis and activates a distress signal for the manager. A magical orb flashes up Sejun's face, demanding he answer the call before his friend dies. Meanwhile, the poison queen bees have successfully crafted that special honey jelly Sejun requested. But while the farm celebrates this small victory, Sejun has no idea he's about to be dragged into a life-or-death emergency. Just as things settled, a system notification flashed. Beekeeping had hit level 4. The new feature was a game changer. Special honey jelly capable of enhancing talents. Sejun leaned back, realizing that while he couldn't train like a genius, he could just eat his way to power. The poison queen bees arrived with a basket full of golden jelly cubes, ready for consumption. Checking the status window, Sejun confirmed it was made from his magic tomatoes and boosted mana talents. He felt a pang of disappointment since he had no mana talents, but immediately wondered if other crops could boost physical stats. He gathered the rabbit family, ensuring everyone got a fair share of the sweet treat. Remembering Eileen's love for his tomatoes, he set aside a portion, certain she'd love this jelly too. He shouted her name, eager to deliver the gift, completely missing the urgent call flashing on his screen. Before Sejun could deliver the jelly, a crimson emergency alert shattered the peaceful afternoon. Tower manager Aileen Fritani was dying. Her dragon heart was in a fatal rampage, and the Black Tower demanded immediate action. The quest was clear: calm her heart or watch her die, and Sejun's entire world came crashing down around him. The system explained it all. Aileen had absorbed mana far beyond what her hardened dragon heart could handle. And Sejun's blood ran cold as he realized the terrifying truth. His incredibly nutritious food was the culprit. Every magic cherry tomato, every health soup, he'd been slowly poisoning the woman he'd grown to care about. But the system wasn't done. It informed Sejun he already possessed an item that could save her. His eyes snapped to the straw hat where the magic jelly cubes were glowing with potential. Even the rabbits and Red Bear understood, offering their own precious jelly shares to help Aileen Nuna. With trembling hands, Sejun called up his status window and poured every last cube of jelly into the transmission. A brilliant blue beam shot skyward, carrying the magical cure directly to Eileen's location. The system chimed with relief quest complete, but Sejun knew this was only the beginning of understanding his farm's true power. The jelly hits Aileen like a lightning bolt, instantly calming the raging dragon within. Her hardened dragon heart talent finally stabilizes, preventing a total mental collapse. But the system drops a cold truth. This is just a bandage, not a cure. Far away, the Black Tower itself reacts to the shift in Eileen's mana. A massive crystal pierces the void, bypassing security to ping her guardians directly. Aileen's father and brother panic, thinking the worst as the emergency system blares. They check the logs and breathe a sigh of relief. Her vitals are stable for the first time. But then, the father sees the name of the last person she contacted, and his aura explodes. It was Park Sejun, and the father is absolutely fuming that a random farmer got to her first. The father's relief turns to absolute fury when he sees Park Sejun's name on the contact log. He transforms into a massive dragon, roaring that Sejun was asked for help instead of him. His voice shakes the very foundation as he demands to know who dared steal his granddaughter's heart. With eyes blazing, he declares he'll never forgive Park Sejun for this betrayal. Nearby, two younger dragons watch the spectacle with amusement. They laugh at how the old man always loses his mind when it comes to his precious granddaughter. But their laughter dies when they notice the dark glint in his eyes. His red eye gleams with a sinister plan. The Black Tower will be the perfect hunting ground. Aileen jolts awake, gasping for air, wondering if she's actually survived the ordeal. She touches her chest to find her dragon heart pulsing steadily, completely stabilized. A system window reveals the culprit, a honey jelly that completed a quest for Park Sejun. Realizing Sejun leveled up his beekeeping skill to create this cure, she's baffled by his farming prowess. Clearing her throat, the great black dragon Aileen Fratani declares it's time to show proper gratitude. She strides into her legendary treasure hoard, surrounded by mountains of gold and ancient artifacts. She considers offering him the magic sword Apophis, or even the holy sword Excalibur. But looking at the pile of deadly weapons, she realizes none of them would actually help a farmer. She pauses to think what a tower farmer actually needs, ruling out swords and axes. Suddenly, a brilliant idea strikes her as she looks up at the light. Confident that Sejun will absolutely love her new choice, she grins with excitement. Meanwhile, Sejun is fast asleep in his hut, completely unaware that a dragon is plotting to spoil him. Park Sejun jolts awake to a system notification thanking him for saving the tower manager's life. Turns out, Aileen's seizures happen every decade, but his crops delayed it by healing her dragon heart. Feeling too ashamed to keep receiving help, Aileen wants to repay her debt of gratitude immediately. Her quest: simply shout her name to the sky for something big and good. Sejun thinks it's weird. With his rabbits watching, Sejun takes a deep breath and screams Aileen's name at the top of his lungs. The system confirms quest completion, awarding him a fountain commemorating Aileen's 100th birthday. But instead of a gentle fountain, something massive and black crashes through the earth with terrifying force. Park Sejun and his rabbits stare up in horror at a colossal dragon statue that just erupted from his farm. The dragon fountain roars to life, spewing water with enough force to drown a small army. But Park Sejun sees past the terrifying scale, realizing this is exactly what his expanding fields need. No more endless trips to the cave with water cans. Aileen just solved his biggest farming problem. A black batwing controller materializes in his hand. Because of course, Aileen's gifts come with extra features. Sejun realizes he can move the entire dragon statue, and his inner gamer immediately takes over. He's having the time of his life commanding the massive beast, while the rabbits beg to take a turn. But then the statue's mouth opens wide, and panic sets in as Sejun loses control of his new toy. A sickening crack echoes through the farm as the dragon's horn snaps clean off. Sejun screams in horror, but the broken horn doesn't just fall, it vanishes in a flash of red light. Aileen's danger alarm goes off, and Sejun's heart stops. He's busted! He stammers that they're just admiring the statue, hoping she doesn't notice the missing horn. Thankfully, a basket of fresh fruits and veggies distracts the dragon, who happily munches away. Sejun breathes a sigh of relief. He got away with it. For now. Meanwhile, on the 67th floor, the Wolf Chieftain's tribe has found a new food source. Young pups excitedly gather red locust corpses, eager to prove themselves to their elders. Elka's husband reassures his worried wife that the locusts are safe to harvest now. With lizardmen gods protecting them, the family works together in harmony. But one curious pup wanders too far, and suddenly the ground starts shaking. He calls out to his parents, pointing at a massive swarm of locusts closing in. Elka and her husband scream in horror as their son is completely surrounded. The swarm descends like a red tide, and there's no way out for the little pup. Just as all hope seems lost, glowing blades slice through the swarm with incredible speed. The lizardmen warriors drop everything and rush to defend the pup, their swords blazing. The lizardmen warriors throw themselves into a desperate shield, screaming for the pup to run. But the red locusts aren't just swarming anymore. They're evolving their attack pattern in real time.